The ancient astronaut theory suggests that beings from other planets came to Earth thousands of years ago and influenced the growth of early human civilizations. People who support this theory believe that these visitors helped humans build large structures, shared knowledge, and shaped myths and religions. This idea often comes up when people look at old monuments and wonder how ancient builders completed such massive projects with the tools and technology they had at the time. The theory gained attention in the 20th century, especially through books and television shows that explored mysteries from the past. While mainstream historians and scientists do not accept it, the theory continues to capture public imagination. One well-known example, often linked to this theory, is the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. The pyramid is a remarkable structure built more than 4,000 years ago. It contains massive stone blocks, each weighing several tons, arranged with extreme precision. Historians explain the construction through the use of ramps, ropes, and large labor forces. But believers in the ancient astronaut theory question whether human workers alone could have achieved this feat. They suggest that extraterrestrials may have provided advanced tools or knowledge to help complete the project. To support this idea, they point to the perfect alignment of the pyramid with certain stars, arguing that such precision hints at guidance from a more advanced civilization. Stonehenge in England is another site often mentioned. This circle of huge standing stones has puzzled researchers for centuries. The stones were transported from locations many miles away, a difficult task for people living thousands of years ago without modern machines. Archaeologists believe that wooden sledges and rolling logs could have been used along with coordinated group effort. Ancient astronaut supporters, however, see the arrangement as evidence of alien involvement. They argue that the design reflects an understanding of astronomy that was too advanced for the people of that time. They also suggest that the site could have served as a landing area or a communication point for visitors from other worlds. In South America, the Nazca lines in Peru are another mysterious example. These are large drawings etched into the desert floor, depicting animals, plants, and geometric shapes. The designs are so large that they can only be fully seen from above. Modern scholars believe the lines were made by removing the top layer of soil, and they may have had religious or ceremonial purposes. Ancient astronaut theorists claim that these figures were created either as signals to extraterrestrials or with their direct help. They argue that the scale and visibility of the lines suggest a connection to flying beings who could view them from the sky. Supporters of this theory also look to ancient texts and legends for evidence. Many early civilizations wrote stories about gods who descended from the heavens. For example, in Mesopotamian myths, beings called the Anunnaki came from the sky and taught humans various skills. Ancient astronaut theorists interpret these stories as literal accounts of extraterrestrials interacting with humans, rather than symbolic tales or religious metaphors. They believe that ancient people may have described advanced technology in the only terms they understood, using words like chariots of fire or winged beings. Some theorists also examine carvings and artwork that appear to show unusual figures or machines. In Egypt, certain carvings seem to resemble helicopters or spacecraft when viewed through a modern lens. In Central America, sculptures of figures wearing what look like helmets and breathing devices have been interpreted as representations of space travelers. While mainstream archaeologists view these images as artistic symbols or coincidences, ancient astronaut supporters see them as clear signs of advanced visitors. The ancient astronaut theory often links to questions about human development. Some theorists suggest that extraterrestrials may have influenced human genetics, giving early humans a boost that helped them develop faster than they would have on their own. They propose that this could explain sudden leaps in human evolution, such as the appearance of advanced tools or sudden growth in brain size. Others argue that aliens may have acted as teachers, guiding humans in agriculture, architecture, and governance. In this view, some of the first civilizations may have been shaped by direct contact with beings from other worlds. Critics of the theory argue that it underestimates the abilities of ancient people. They point out that many supposedly impossible feats can be explained through hard work, ingenuity, and time. For example, experiments have shown that small teams using simple tools can move large stones, suggesting that the construction of monuments like Stonehenge was within human capability. They also note that ancient cultures observed the sky closely, so their knowledge of astronomy does not require outside help. To critics, the theory reflects a lack of understanding of ancient engineering and culture, rather than proof of alien intervention. Despite criticism, the idea remains popular, partly because it offers dramatic explanations for old mysteries. People are naturally curious about the past, and the thought of ancient visitors from space adds excitement to history. Television shows and books that explore the theory often focus on the unexplained, highlighting puzzles, while downplaying evidence that supports more ordinary explanations. This makes the theory appealing, even if it is not supported by solid proof. Imagine a group of people living thousands of years ago, looking up at the night sky and wondering about the stars. If a bright object suddenly appeared, moving in a way they had never seen before, they might think it was a god descending from the heavens. If beings emerged from that object, carrying tools and wearing strange suits, the people might see them as divine. They would likely describe these events using the language and images they understood, passing the stories down through generations. Over time, those stories could evolve into myths and legends, which later generations might interpret as metaphorical. Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that this scenario may have played out many times in different cultures around the world, while mainstream scholars focus on evidence that can be tested and measured. The ancient astronaut theory operates more on speculation. It raises questions rather than providing clear answers. For some, this is part of its appeal. It invites people to imagine a past where humans were not alone, where help from beyond the stars shaped the course of history. Whether or not it is true, the theory continues to inspire debate, exploration, and a sense of wonder about the origins of human civilization. The Fermi Paradox is a question that challenges our understanding of life in the universe. The universe is vast, with billions of stars and even more planets. Many of these planets could have the right conditions for life. If life can form here on Earth, it seems likely that it could form elsewhere. Over billions of years, some of that life could evolve into intelligent beings. If that happened, some of those civilizations might develop advanced technology such as space travel or powerful communication tools. Given the scale of the universe and the time available, we might expect to see signs of these civilizations. Yet, when we look into space, we see nothing certain. There are no clear signals, no alien ships, and no confirmed evidence of visitors. This silence is the heart of the Fermi Paradox. The paradox gets its name from physicist Enrico Fermi. In the 1950s, during a casual conversation about the possibility of alien life, he asked, "Where is everybody?" His point was simple. If intelligent life is common, we should have detected it by now. The lack of evidence raises a puzzle. Either we are missing something, or our assumptions about life in the universe are wrong. To understand the paradox, imagine you walk into a huge forest filled with thousands of trees. If each tree represents a star system, and many of them have planets, you would expect to hear the sounds of animals. You might hear birds, insects, or rustling leaves. But in this forest, there is only silence. You see no animals, no tracks, no signs of life. That silence would make you wonder why. You might start to question whether the forest has animals at all, or whether something has happened to keep them hidden. The same idea applies to the universe. Space is our forest, and the lack of alien evidence is the silence that puzzles us. One possible explanation is that intelligent life is rare. Life may require a series of unusual events to emerge. On Earth, life began over 3.5 billion years ago, but complex life took much longer to appear. It may be that conditions like those on Earth are extremely uncommon. Even if simple life forms, it might rarely evolve into beings capable of technology. In this view, we could be one of the first intelligent species to reach this stage. If so, there may be no other civilizations advanced enough to contact us yet. Another possibility is that intelligent civilizations tend to destroy themselves before they can spread through the galaxy. As a society grows more advanced, it gains the power to change its environment or wage destructive wars. Nuclear weapons, climate change, or other dangers might wipe out a civilization before it can travel to other worlds. If this happens often, there could be many civilizations that once existed but are now gone, leaving no trace we can detect. This idea suggests that advanced technology is a double-edged sword. It allows for exploration, but also brings risks that may lead to extinction. Some people suggest that alien civilizations might be hiding on purpose. Just as animals sometimes stay silent to avoid predators, advanced beings might avoid drawing attention to themselves. They could fear other aggressive civilizations and choose to remain quiet. If so, we might be like a child shouting in a dark forest, unaware that someone is listening but choosing not to answer. This idea, sometimes called the dark forests theory, paints a picture of a galaxy where survival depends on secrecy. It is also possible that we are looking in the wrong way. Our search methods depend on our understanding of technology. We listen for radio signals and look for certain kinds of light or energy. But alien civilizations might use technologies we do not recognize. Imagine an early human trying to detect modern Wi-Fi signals. The signals would be invisible and meaningless to them. Similarly, there could be signs of alien life all around us that we simply do not understand yet. Another scenario is that the universe is full of life, but the distances are too great. Space is vast, and even traveling at high speeds takes enormous amounts of time. A signal sent from another civilization could take thousands or even millions of years to reach us. By the time it arrives, the civilization that sent it might no longer exist. Likewise, our own signals may never reach another intelligent species in time for them to respond. This would mean that the universe is not silent, only slow. Consider what it would take for humans to travel to another star. The nearest star system, Alpha Centauri, is about 4 light years away. Even if we built a spacecraft much faster than anything we have now, the journey could take centuries. It would require resources and planning on a scale beyond anything we have attempted. If other civilizations face similar challenges, they might explore their own systems, but rarely travel between stars. This would explain why we do not see alien ships or colonies. Some thinkers suggest that alien life could be so different from us that we fail to recognize it. Life on Earth is based on carbon and water, but elsewhere it might use other elements or chemical processes. An alien planet could be filled with forms of life that do not match our definitions. Even if we saw them, we might not realize they were alive. Similarly, an advanced civilization might exist in a form we cannot detect, such as digital consciousness or beings made of energy rather than matter. Imagine visiting another planet and seeing a field of strange crystals. To you, they look like rocks. In reality, they are part of a living network that moves and communicates in ways you cannot perceive. You might leave without ever knowing you had encountered intelligent beings. This idea suggests that alien life could be all around us, hidden by our limited understanding. Finally, there is the possibility that we truly are alone. The conditions that led to life on Earth may be so rare and so fragile that they almost never occur. If this is the case, the silence we hear is not a mystery, but a reflection of our uniqueness. It would mean that our planet is a rare exception in an otherwise empty galaxy. While this idea may seem lonely, it also highlights the importance of protecting and valuing the life we have here. The Fermi Paradox does not have a single answer. It remains an open question that challenges scientists, philosophers, and anyone who looks up at the night sky. Each explanation offers a different view of our place in the universe. Whether the silence means we are rare, early, hidden, or isolated, it forces us to think carefully about the future of our own civilization and the mysteries of the cosmos. The Zoo hypothesis suggests that advanced alien civilizations know about us, but choose not to make contact. Instead, they observe us from a distance, much like humans might watch animals in a wildlife reserve. The idea comes from the puzzle of why, if intelligent life is common in the universe, we have not seen any signs of it. This puzzle is part of what is known as the Fermi Paradox. The Zoo hypothesis offers one possible answer. It suggests that the silence is not because aliens are absent, but because they are deliberately keeping themselves hidden. Imagine a group of scientists studying a tribe of isolated people in a remote jungle. The scientists know the tribe exists, but they also know that direct contact could disrupt the tribe's culture and way of life. If the tribe suddenly saw airplanes, cell phones, or modern tools, their entire social structure might collapse. To prevent this, the scientists watch from a distance, using hidden cameras or quiet observation posts. They leave no trace of their presence. According to the Zoo hypothesis, aliens may treat us in a similar way. They might think that revealing themselves would change our society in ways we are not ready for, so they choose to stay out of sight. Supporters of this idea believe that an advanced civilization would likely have technology far beyond anything we can imagine. They might be able to monitor our planet without us detecting them. They could hide their ships using cloaking devices, observe us through satellites, or even send tiny probes that blend in with natural objects. From our point of view, the sky would look empty. But in reality, we would be under close watch. This would explain why we have not found clear evidence of alien visitors, even though they might be nearby. The Zoo hypothesis also suggests rules of behavior, similar to what humans call the prime directive in science fiction. This rule would say that advanced beings should not interfere with less developed civilizations. If many alien societies exist, they might have agreed to follow such a rule. This agreement could prevent random groups from making contact with planets like ours. It would require discipline and coordination, which implies that these civilizations are organized and possibly united in some way. If they have been around for millions of years, they might see us as young and inexperienced. From their perspective, we could be like children learning to walk, not yet ready to join a larger community. Consider how humans treat animals in a zoo. The animals live their lives without fully understanding the people who watch them. The zookeepers provide food and care but avoid direct interaction, especially if the animals are dangerous or fragile. When visitors come to the zoo, they stay behind barriers. The animals might see shadows or hear sounds, but they never fully grasp what is happening beyond their enclosures. In this analogy, Earth is the enclosure and humans are the animals. The aliens are the keepers, watching us while staying just out of reach. This idea also offers a way to explain why humans sometimes report strange sightings, like unidentified flying objects or mysterious lights in the sky. These could be accidental glimpses of alien observers. Imagine a zookeeper who accidentally drops a tool into an animal enclosure. The animals might notice it, but they would not understand what it is or where it came from. In the same way, when humans see something unexplained, it could be a mistake made by a hidden watcher. The aliens would likely correct the mistake quickly, leaving us with only brief, confusing evidence. The Zoo hypothesis raises questions about how aliens might view humanity. If they are watching us, what do they think? They might see us as a species with potential, but still struggling with conflict, environmental damage, and rapid technological change. They could be waiting to see if we reach a level of stability before making contact. From their point of view, revealing themselves too soon might harm us. It could lead to panic, chaos, or misuse of advanced technology. By staying hidden, they allow us to develop on our own terms. It is also possible that they are waiting for a specific signal from us, just as humans sometimes test whether animals are ready for new challenges. Aliens might be looking for signs that we are prepared to join a wider network of civilizations. This sign could be a scientific breakthrough, a message sent into space, or evidence that we have overcome our internal divisions. Until we meet that standard, they may continue to watch without intervening. Imagine a future where humans begin to explore other planets. Suppose we discover a planet with intelligent creatures at a stage similar to our Stone Age. We might choose to study them without interfering. We would use satellites and remote sensors to gather information. We might avoid landing on the planet to prevent shocking the inhabitants. If we saw them fighting wars or facing environmental crises, we might wonder if they could solve these problems on their own. Our decision to stay silent would mirror what the zoo hypothesis suggests aliens are doing to us right now. The idea also depends on the assumption that alien civilizations are far older and more advanced than ours. A society that has lasted for millions of years would have had time to spread across the galaxy. Their technology might allow them to travel vast distances, harness energy from stars, and even manipulate matter at a molecular level to beings with that level of power. Hiding from us would be simple. They could remain invisible unless they chose to reveal themselves. In this sense, the absence of evidence is not proof that they are not there. It may simply mean they are very good at staying hidden. Some people question whether a non-interference rule would really work. In human history, rules are often broken. Even if most alien civilizations agreed to stay silent, a few might choose to make contact. Supporters of the zoo hypothesis respond by suggesting that there might be strict consequences for breaking the rule. A powerful central authority could enforce compliance, ensuring that no one interferes with developing planets. This would require a level of organization far beyond anything humans have achieved. But it is possible if these civilizations are extremely advanced. Others argue that the zoo hypothesis gives too much credit to aliens. It assumes they care about us enough to create rules and follow them. It also assumes that they see value in letting us develop naturally. If aliens exist but have no interest in us, they might simply ignore Earth altogether. In that case, the silence we observe would have a different explanation. The zoo hypothesis, however, offers a more structured and purposeful view of the universe. It suggests that we are part of a larger story, even if we cannot see the full picture yet. In everyday life, people visit zoos without thinking much about how the animals perceive them. The animals live within boundaries set by humans, unaware of the greater world outside. If the zoo hypothesis is correct, our situation might be similar. We live our lives on this planet, making discoveries and building technology without knowing that someone else is watching. The sky above us might seem empty, but beyond our senses, there could be countless eyes observing our every move, waiting for the moment when we are ready to step beyond our cosmic enclosure. The simulation theory suggests that our entire universe might not be physical in the way we think it is. Instead, it could be an artificial environment created by advanced beings, much like how humans create computer simulations. In this view, what we experience as reality is more like a program running on a powerful system we cannot see. If this idea is correct, aliens would not be visitors flying, they would be the programmers or designers running the simulation itself. They would exist outside the boundaries of our universe, controlling or influencing it much like game developers control a virtual world. The theory builds on how human technology has advanced over time. Only a few decades ago, video games were simple blocks of color on a screen. Now, games feature lifelike characters, realistic physics, and complex environments. Players can explore virtual worlds that feel almost real. If human progress continues, future computers could simulate entire ecosystems or even planets. If that is possible for us, then it is reasonable to think that a much older and more advanced civilization might have already reached a level where they can simulate whole universes, including conscious beings like us. Imagine a simple scenario. A group of scientists wants to study how civilizations form and grow. Instead of observing a real planet, they create a simulation. Inside this digital world, intelligent beings evolve, build cities, and ask questions about their existence. The beings do not know they are in a simulation. To them, their world feels solid and natural. They might look at the sky, study physics, and write laws of nature, all without realizing that these rules are just code written by the creators. From their perspective, the simulation is the only reality they know. According to this theory, we could be those beings, and our creators could be the aliens we are trying to find. One of the strange ideas behind simulation theory is that glitches or irregularities might show up in our universe. In a computer program, errors sometimes occur, causing odd behavior if our world is simulated. Certain unexplained phenomena could be the result of flaws or changes in the code. For example, some people point to the way quantum physics works. At the smallest scale, particles behave in unpredictable ways, almost as if the universe is running calculations behind the scenes. This randomness might reflect the limits of a simulation's processing power, like pixels flickering on a screen when a game struggles to load. Another way to think about it is through limits built into the simulation. In video games, players often encounter invisible walls or boundaries where the game world ends. Similarly, the speed of light could act as a built-in limit in our universe. It may not be a fundamental natural constant, but rather a rule set by the programmers to keep the simulation stable. If so, the structures we see in physics could be artificial rather than natural, like features of a designed system. In this framework, aliens are not travelers moving through space, but the ones who wrote the rules of our reality. They may never appear physically because they exist outside the simulation. To them, interacting with us would be like a player reaching into a video game to talk to a character. If they did choose to interact, they could change our world in ways that look like miracles to us. A simple adjustment to the code could rewrite history or alter the laws of nature. From our point of view, this would seem impossible, but to the creators, it would be as easy as editing a line of software. Consider how humans use simulations today. Scientists run models to predict weather, study disease, or test new technologies. These simulations are not just for entertainment. They are tools for understanding complex systems. An advanced alien civilization might run a universe like ours. For similar reasons, they could be studying the rise and fall of civilizations, testing different conditions for life, or exploring questions about morality and intelligence. We might be one of many simulations they operate, each with slightly different rules or starting points. In this sense, our entire history could be part of a much larger experiment. If this idea is true, certain puzzles about alien life take on a different meaning. The Fermi Paradox asks why, in a universe so vast, we do not see other civilizations. If we are in a simulation, the answer could be simple. The creators did not include other advanced species in our version of the program. They may have decided to focus on humans alone, leaving other planets empty or undeveloped. From our perspective, this would look like a lonely universe, but from theirs, it would just be a design choice. This theory also changes how we think about extraterrestrial contact. Instead of expecting signals or spacecraft, the first sign of aliens might come as evidence of the simulation itself. we might detect patterns in nature that cannot be explained by physical laws, like repeated sequences of numbers hidden in cosmic radiation or sudden, unexplainable changes in the environment. These would be like Easter eggs left by the programmers, clues that point to their presence. If they ever wanted to reveal themselves, they could do so by altering the code in a way we would recognize. Imagine a scenario where our scientists send a message into space, hoping to contact aliens. Instead of a reply from another planet, the response appears in our own sky as a sudden change in the stars. Constellations rearrange themselves to form a clear message. To us, this would seem impossible, but for the programmers, it would be as simple as updating a computer display. The interaction would not involve physical travel, only a change in the simulation we experience as reality. Some thinkers wonder about the motives of the beings running the simulation. If they are like us, they might have ethical concerns about how they treat the conscious beings inside their creation. They might choose to watch without interfering, much like humans observing wildlife, or they might be indifferent, letting events unfold without regard for suffering or conflict. In the worst case, they could even treat the simulation as entertainment, similar to how humans watch dramas or play strategy games. From our perspective, this would make them seem like gods or demons, but from theirs, it might be no more significant than playing a game after work. There is also the question of what happens when a simulation ends. If our universe is a program, it could be shut down at any moment. To the creators, this would be a simple act, like turning off a computer. For us, it would mean the sudden end of every. This possibility raises unsettling questions about the stability of our reality. It also suggests that events we see as natural disasters or random accidents might sometimes be deliberate changes made by the ones controlling the system. The simulation theory does not claim that this scenario is definitely true. Instead, it offers a framework for thinking about aliens in a different way. Instead of physical beings living on distant planets, they might exist outside space and time altogether. Their technology would be so advanced that it would seem like magic to us, yet it would simply be the tools they use to maintain the program we call the universe. In this view, the search for alien life is also a search for our creators, the beings who built the reality we inhabit without even knowing it. The Drake equation is a scientific tool used to estimate how many advanced civilizations might exist in our galaxy. It was developed in 1961 by astronomer Frank Drake. At the time, scientists were preparing for the first major meeting to discuss the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Drake wanted a way to focus the discussion by breaking the big question into smaller, measurable parts. Instead of asking simply whether aliens exist, he created a formula with several factors that, when multiplied together, could give a rough estimate of the number of civilizations capable of communication. The equation looks straightforward, but each factor represents a deep scientific challenge. It begins with the rate at which stars form in the Milky Way. Our galaxy contains hundreds of billions of stars, and new ones are still being born. Some form in clusters, while others appear alone or with companion stars. Knowing how often new stars form helps set the stage for understanding how many potential homes for life there might be. For example, if 10 new stars form each year, that number becomes the starting point of the equation. The more stars there are, the greater the chances that some will have planets suitable for life. The next factor is the fraction of those stars that have planets. When Drake first proposed his equation, astronomers had no clear evidence of planets outside our solar system. Today, thanks to space telescopes like Kepler and TESS, we know that planets are common. In fact, many stars have multiple planets. This discovery dramatically changed how scientists view the universe. It suggests that planetary systems like ours are not rare, which increases the likelihood of life elsewhere. If even half of all stars have planets, the number of possible locations for life rises quickly. After that comes the average number of planets per star that could support life. This does not mean just any planet, but one with conditions similar to Earth's. Scientists call this the habitable zone, the region around a star where temperatures allow liquid water to exist. Water is important because it supports chemical reactions necessary for life as we know it. A planet too close to its star may be too hot, like Venus, while one too far away may be frozen, like Pluto. Finding planets in the habitable zone helps narrow down which ones are most likely to host living organisms. With current data, astronomers estimate that there could be billions of Earth-like planets in our galaxy alone. The equation then turns to biology. The next factor is the fraction of those habitable planets where life actually appears. This is much harder to measure because Earth is our only confirmed example. Life began here about 3.5 billion years ago, relatively soon after the planet cooled and water formed. This suggests that life might start easily when conditions are right. On the other hand, it is possible that the origin of life required a rare chain of events, making it extremely uncommon. Scientists have no way yet to determine which is true. If life emerges often, the chances of other living worlds increase dramatically. If it is rare, most planets, even those with ideal conditions, might remain barren once life begins. The next question is how often it becomes intelligent. On Earth, simple life forms existed for billions of years before complex organisms appeared. Even then, intelligence in the human sense developed only recently. Dinosaurs ruled the planet for millions of years, but never built radios or spaceships. This suggests that intelligence might not be a guaranteed outcome. It could depend on chance events like asteroid impacts or climate shifts. If intelligence is common, the galaxy could be full of advanced civilizations. If it is rare, there may be many planets with simple life, but few with beings who can think and build technology. The equation then considers the fraction of intelligent species that develop the ability to communicate across space. This involves creating technology like radio telescopes or other tools that can send and receive signals. Humans reached this stage only in the last century. Before that, even though we were intelligent, we could not have contacted anyone beyond Earth. Some civilizations might never reach this point, while others might surpass it and explore methods of communication we cannot yet imagine. The more species that develop this ability, the greater the chance that someone is out there trying to talk to us. Finally, the equation includes the length of time such civilizations remain detectable. This factor is crucial because even if many civilizations exist, they may not all be active at the same time. A society might broadcast signals for only a few thousand years before going silent. It could collapse due to war, environmental damage, or other causes. If the lifespan of a technological civilization is short, the window to detect it becomes very narrow. Conversely, if a civilization lasts for millions of years, its presence is much easier to notice. This factor connects directly to the Fermi Paradox, which asks why we have not detected anyone yet despite the vastness of space. When all these factors are multiplied together, the result is an estimate of how many civilizations in our galaxy might be able to communicate with us. The numbers are uncertain, and different assumptions can lead to very different answers. Some scientists use conservative values and get results close to zero, suggesting we may be alone. Others use more optimistic estimates and conclude there could be thousands or even millions of civilizations. The true value remains unknown, but the equation provides a framework for thinking about the problem in a structured way. Consider an example with simple numbers. Suppose 10 new stars form each year, half of them have planets, and each star has 2 planets in the habitable zone. That gives 10 times 0.5 times 2, which equals 10 potential planets each year. If life appears on half of those planets, the number drops to 5. If only 1 in 10 develops intelligence, that leaves 0.5. If half of those intelligent species create technology, we are down to 0.25. Finally, if civilizations last an average of 1,000 years, that even with these rough values, the result shows how a few changes in assumptions can dramatically alter the outcome. The Drake equation does more than just provide a number. It guides research by highlighting what we need to learn. For example, space missions that find and study exoplanets help refine the second and third factors. Laboratory experiments that explore how life might start help. With the fourth factor, observations of our own civilization and its challenges inform the last factor about longevity. As knowledge improves, the estimates become more accurate. This process turns a philosophical question into a scientific investigation. The equation also shapes how we search for extraterrestrial signals. Programs like SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, use radio telescopes to listen for patterns that could indicate a message. The sensitivity and range of these instruments depend on how many civilizations we think might be out there. A higher estimate encourages broader searches, while a lower one might suggest focusing on nearby stars. Either way, the Drake equation provides a logical basis for these efforts. Imagine standing on a quiet hill at night, looking up at the stars. Each point of light represents a sun, many with their own planets. Somewhere among them, there could be other beings doing the same thing, wondering if they are alone. The Drake equation does not answer that question, but it helps frame it. By breaking the problem into steps, it shows how the path to discovery lies in understanding the universe piece by piece, from stars and planets to life and intelligence. It reminds us that even in the face of uncertainty, careful reasoning can bring us closer to knowing whether we share the galaxy with others. The belief that some unidentified flying objects are alien spacecraft visiting Earth has existed for decades. A UFO is simply something seen in the sky that cannot be immediately identified. Many UFOs turn out to be airplanes, balloons, birds, drones, or natural phenomena like meteors or atmospheric reflections. However, some sightings remain unexplained even after investigation. These are the cases that fuel the idea that extraterrestrial beings might be visiting our planet. The modern era of UFO reports began in 1947 when a pilot named Kenneth Arnold saw a group of objects near Mount Rainier in Washington. He described them as moving like saucers skipping across water. Newspapers picked up the term flying saucer, and it quickly became part of popular culture. Since then, thousands of sightings have been reported around the world. Some involve strange lights in the sky, while others describe solid objects with unusual shapes and flight patterns. Witnesses include civilians, pilots, police officers, and even military personnel. The variety of reports has made the topic both intriguing and controversial. Supporters of the extraterrestrial spacecraft theory focus on sightings that seem to defy known technology. For example, some objects are reported to move at extreme speeds, change direction instantly, or hover silently without visible means of propulsion. These behaviors are difficult to explain using conventional aircraft or natural causes. If a craft can accelerate from a standstill to thousands of miles per h-hour without creating a sonic boom, it suggests technology far beyond what humans currently possess. Believers argue that the simplest explanation for such advanced performance is that the craft come from another world. In recent years, government and military involvement has brought renewed attention to the topic. The US Navy released videos showing encounters between fighter pilots and unidentified objects. These objects, captured on infrared cameras, appeared to move in ways that challenged current understanding of physics and flight. The pilots involved described their experiences in detail, noting that the objects seemed to have no wings, engines, or exhaust. These videos were later confirmed as authentic by the Department of Defense, sparking debate about what the objects could be. While no official statement has declared them extraterrestrial, the fact that they remain unexplained keeps the possibility open. Consider a scenario involving a commercial airline pilot. During a routine flight, the pilot sees a bright metallic object moving quickly across the sky. The object makes a sharp turn and disappears in an instant. Air traffic control reports no other aircraft in the area, and radar does not pick up anything unusual after landing. The pilot files a report, but investigators cannot find a clear explanation. Cases like this often leave both witnesses and researchers frustrated. They highlight the gap between what is observed and what can be proven. Supporters of the alien spacecraft theory see these events as evidence of visitors monitoring Earth without revealing themselves. The idea of alien visitation also connects to older stories and historical records. Some people point to ancient texts, art, and myths that describe strange beings or flying objects. While these accounts are open to interpretation, they suggest that humans have been seeing unexplained things in the sky for a long time. In more recent centuries, before the invention of airplanes and satellites, there were still reports of mysterious lights or shapes moving through the atmosphere. Believers argue that these patterns across time support the idea of ongoing observation by extraterrestrial civilizations. Critics of the theory offer alternative explanations. They note that human perception is unreliable, especially when observing distant or fast moving objects. Optical illusions, fatigue, and stress can all affect what a person thinks they see. Atmospheric conditions like temperature inversions can bend light, creating images of objects that are not really there. Military tests of secret aircraft can also lead to mistaken sightings. For example, during the Cold War, experimental planes like the U-2 spy plane were often mistaken for UFOs because their designs were unfamiliar to the public. Skeptics argue that many modern sightings could similarly involve classified technology rather than aliens. Despite these arguments, some UFO reports include multiple independent witnesses or physical evidence, making them harder to dismiss. For example, there are cases where radar systems tracked an object at the same time. Pilots or ground observers saw it visually. In a few instances, unusual radiation levels or ground markings were found at reported landing sites. These types of evidence suggest that something physical was present, though they do not prove its origin. Believers see these rare cases as the strongest support for the idea of extraterrestrial visitors. Imagine an advanced alien civilization capable of interstellar travel. If they can cross the vast distances between stars, their technology must be far ahead of ours. They might have methods of propulsion we cannot understand, materials that defy our engineering limits, and sensors that allow perfect stealth. From our perspective, their craft would seem almost magical. A hovering disk or a sudden burst of speed might simply be routine for them. If such beings exist, they might explore the galaxy much as humans explore Earth's oceans. Our planet could be one stop among many, a place to study life and observe a developing civilization. Some believers think aliens may deliberately avoid open contact. This idea overlaps with the zoo hypothesis, which suggests that advanced beings might watch us without interfering, much like humans observe animals in the wild. UFO sightings could be accidental glimpses of these observers. Perhaps their technology usually keeps them hidden, but under certain conditions they become visible. If so, the scattered nature of reports would make sense. We would only see them when mistakes happen or when they choose to reveal themselves briefly. Governments have historically been cautious about releasing information on UFOs. Some officials worry about public panic or the risk of revealing sensitive military capabilities. This secrecy fuels conspiracy theories, with some people believing that world governments know more than they admit. For instance, the crash near Roswell, New Mexico, in 1947 remains a famous case. The US military first described the debris as a flying disc before later claiming it was part of a weather balloon project. That quick change in explanation led many to suspect a cover up. Whether true or not, stories like this keep interest in the topic alive. In recent years, more openness has emerged. Reports and videos released by defense agencies have shown that some sightings remain unexplained even to experts. These releases do not confirm alien origins, but they acknowledge that unidentified aerial phenomena are real events worth studying. By using the term UAP instead of UFO, officials hope to focus on the investigation without the cultural baggage of flying saucers and alien invasion movies. This shift reflects a growing recognition that not every sighting can be dismissed as a mistake or hoax. The belief in UFOs as alien spacecraft persists because it offers a possible answer to deep questions about humanity's place in the universe. If some sightings truly involve visitors from other worlds, it would mean we are part of a much larger cosmic community. It would suggest that intelligent life has achieved feats we can barely imagine. Even without proof, the idea continues to inspire curiosity, debate, and ongoing efforts to watch the skies for signs of something beyond our world. The government cover-up theory claims that certain governments, especially the United States, have secret information about alien life and spacecraft, but choose to hide it from the public. Supporters of this theory believe that officials have recovered alien technology, studied it in secret, and kept the knowledge hidden to maintain control or prevent widespread panic. Central to many of these claims is Area 51, a highly restricted military base in Nevada. The secrecy surrounding this location has made it a focal point for those who think governments are concealing the truth about extraterrestrial visitors. The theory often begins with the famous incident near Roswell, New Mexico. In 1947, a strange object crashed on a ranch, and the US military initially described it as a flying disc. Soon after, they changed their statement and said it was a weather balloon. This quick shift fueled suspicion. Many people believed that the first statement was the truth, and the second was a cover story. Over the years, witnesses have come forward claiming to have seen unusual debris or even alien bodies at the crash site, while official explanations link the debris to a top-secret balloon project called Project Mogul. The conflicting reports continue to feed belief in a cover-up. Area 51 became a symbol of this secrecy because of its extreme security and lack of public information. The base is surrounded by desert, with warning signs, cameras, and armed guards preventing unauthorized access. For decades, the government did not even admit the base existed. This silence encouraged speculation. Some former employees have claimed that alien spacecraft were stored and studied there. According to these accounts, scientists attempted to reverse engineer the technology to understand how it worked. While there is no confirmed evidence to support these claims, the mystery surrounding the base keeps them alive. Consider how the secrecy of military projects can lead to confusion. During the Cold War, the US developed experimental aircraft such as the U-2 and SR-71 Blackbird. These planes flew at high altitudes and speeds that were unknown to the public. When people saw them, they often reported them as UFOs at the time. The government could not reveal the true nature of these aircraft without exposing sensitive information to rival nations. As a result, officials gave vague or misleading explanations. Supporters of the cover-up theory argue that if secret human technology was hidden this way, it is possible that alien technology could be concealed in the same manner. Some believers point to more recent events. In the past 2 decades, military pilots have reported encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena. Videos released by the US Navy show objects moving in ways that defy current understanding of flight. These objects appear to have no wings or visible propulsion systems, yet they perform maneuvers beyond the limits of known aircraft. While the government acknowledges these sightings are real, they have not offered clear explanations. This lack of detail strengthens the suspicion that officials know more than they are willing to share. Imagine a scenario in which a government recovers an alien craft. Officials would face difficult decisions. If they announce the discovery, it could cause panic or disrupt global stability. Religious, political, and social systems might struggle to absorb the news. There would also be questions about who controls the technology. Nations might compete for access, leading to conflict. To avoid these risks, leaders might choose to keep the information secret. They could move the craft to a secure location like Area 51, restrict access, and create cover stories to hide its existence. Only a small group of trusted individuals would know the full truth. The theory also includes claims that some alien technology has already influenced human advancements. For example, believers suggest that sudden leaps in electronics, aerospace, or materials science could come from studying recovered extraterrestrial devices. They point to developments like microchips, fiber optics, and stealth technology as possible results of reverse engineering. While scientists explain these advances through research and innovation, the timing of certain breakthroughs appears suspicious to those who support the theory. Secrecy around UFO research is not limited to the US. Other countries, including Russia, China, and members of NATO, have conducted classified studies of unexplained aerial phenomena. In some cases, governments have declassified old files, revealing thousands of reports collected over decades. While most of these reports involve natural or man-made objects, a small percentage remain unexplained. Believers argue that the most significant findings are likely still hidden, kept out of public view for reasons of national security. Critics of the government cover-up theory offer several counterarguments. They note that large conspiracies are hard to maintain because people leak information over time. The more individuals involved, the harder it becomes to keep secrets. They also point out that no verified physical evidence of alien technology has ever been produced. While there are stories, photographs, and testimonies, these can be unreliable. Skeptics suggest that sightings of advanced craft could involve classified human projects rather than extraterrestrial visitors. From this perspective, secrecy is about protecting military research rather than hiding proof of alien contact. Despite these doubts, the theory remains popular because secrecy itself creates suspicion. When governments refuse to explain what they know, people fill the gaps with their own ideas. A lack of transparency encourages belief in hidden truths. For instance, when the government finally admitted Area 51 existed, it did not end speculation. Instead, it confirmed that the base was real and highly secretive, which made people wonder what else might still be hidden there. Consider how trust works in everyday life. If someone hides information from you, you may start to suspect they are doing something wrong, even if their reasons are innocent. The same principle applies on a larger scale. When officials classify UFO files or restrict access to certain sites, the public assumes the worst. This dynamic creates a cycle. Secrecy leads to suspicion, which leads to more rumors, which leads to even greater secrecy. Some people believe that if governments ever disclose the truth, it will not be sudden. Instead, it would happen in stages. Officials might first release small pieces of information, such as confirming unexplained sightings. Later, they could reveal more details about what has been studied. This gradual process would give society time to adjust. Recent steps, like releasing military videos and reports, may be part of this slow disclosure. Whether this is intentional or simply a response to public pressure is unknown. Stories of whistleblowers add to the theory's strength. Over the years, individuals claiming to have worked on secret projects have described alien craft, recovered bodies, and underground facilities. While some of these accounts have been debunked, others remain unresolved. Believers argue that even if most witnesses are unreliable, a few may be telling the truth. The difficulty lies in separating credible testimony from false claims. The government cover-up theory continues to thrive because it taps into both fear and curiosity. People want to believe that the universe holds other intelligent beings, and they suspect their leaders might hide such discoveries for political reasons. Whether or not alien spacecraft have ever been recovered, the combination of secrecy, unexplained events, and official silence ensures that this theory will endure. As long as there are restricted sites like Area 51 and unanswered questions about strange objects in the sky, the idea of a hidden truth will remain part of our collective imagination. The Panspermia Hypothesis suggests that life on Earth may not have started here at all. Instead, it could have come from space, carried by comets, asteroids, or even intentionally sent by advanced alien civilizations. This idea shifts the question of life's origins from our planet to the broader universe. Instead of asking how life began on Earth, Panspermia asks whether Earth was simply one stop in a much older and larger process. Life on Earth began very early in the planet's history. The oldest known fossils of microorganisms are about 3.5 billion years old, and there is evidence that life may have existed even earlier. This quick appearance of life has puzzled scientists. Earth went through a violent period shortly after it formed, with heavy asteroid impacts and extreme volcanic activity. Conditions were harsh, and it is difficult to explain how complex molecules organized themselves into living systems so quickly. Panspermia offers a way to solve this problem. It suggests that life did not need to start from scratch here. Instead, it may have arrived fully formed, ready to adapt and grow. One way this could happen is through natural processes. Space is full of dust, ice, and rocky debris, left over from the formation of stars and planets. Some of this material carries complex organic molecules, including amino acids, which are the building blocks of life. When comets or asteroids collide with a planet, they can deliver these molecules to its surface. Over time, these deliveries could provide the ingredients needed for life to thrive. In a more extreme version of this idea, actual living microbes could travel through space inside protective layers of rock or ice. If they survived the journey and the fiery entry through Earth's atmosphere, they could begin reproducing in their new environments. Scientists have found evidence that supports the possibility of life traveling between planets. Certain microbes on Earth are incredibly tough. Some can survive extreme heat, cold, radiation, and even the vacuum of space. Experiments on the International Space Station have shown that some bacteria and spores remain alive after months or years in space. This means that if a rock containing microbes was ejected from a planet by a massive impact, it could potentially travel through space and land on another planet without all the organisms inside dying. This process is known as lithopanspermia. Imagine a scenario where a large asteroid strikes a planet that already has microbial life. The impact blasts chunks of rock into space. Some of these rocks contain tiny pockets where microbes are sealed off, protected from radiation and temperature extremes. Over thousands or millions of years, these rocks drift through space. Eventually, one of them collides with another planet, such as early Earth. When it lands, the microbes inside find a warm, wet environment and begin to multiply. In this way, life can hop from world to world, like stepping stones across a cosmic river. Evidence for this idea comes from certain meteorites found on Earth that originated from Mars. Scientists have identified tiny structures and chemical traces in some of these meteorites that resemble microbial activity. While these findings are debated, they show that material can indeed travel between planets in our solar system. If rocks can make the journey, it is possible that microbes could as well. There is also a more speculative version of panspermia, known as directed panspermia. This suggests that life might not have spread purely by accident. Instead, it could have been seeded intentionally by an advanced alien civilization. In this scenario, aliens might have sent spacecraft or engineered comets carrying microbes to planets they identified as suitable for life. Their motives could range from scientific curiosity to a desire to spread life across the galaxy. To the beings who launched the project, this would be a way to ensure life continues, even if their own planet faces extinction. For us, it would mean that life on Earth has a direct connection to intelligent beings elsewhere in the universe. Supporters of directed panspermia sometimes point to certain odd features of life on Earth as possible clues. For example, the genetic code is universal across all living things, from bacteria to humans. This consistency suggests that all life shares a single origin. Some scientists find it remarkable that the code is so efficient and stable, almost as if it were designed. While evolution explains much of life's complexity, the very first step, the origin of the code itself, remains a mystery. Directed panspermia offers one possible answer. Maybe the code was created elsewhere and delivered to Earth in the form of living cells. Critics of the Panspermia hypothesis argue that it does not truly solve the problem of life's origins. If life came from space, we still need to explain where that life began. Panspermia shifts the location of the mystery, but does not eliminate it. However, supporters counter that spreading life between worlds increases the chances of it surviving long enough to develop intelligence. If life can move from planet to planet, then even catastrophic events, like asteroid impacts or supernova explosions, will not wipe it out completely. This would make life more durable on a galactic scale. Experiments continue to test parts of the panspermia. Researchers have studied how microorganisms react to conditions in space. Some survive radiation levels far higher than those on Earth. Others can enter a dormant state, effectively shutting down until they reach a more favorable environment. These findings suggest that at least some forms of life could handle the journey between planets. Scientists have also examined how rocks behave when ejected from a planet's surface. Computer models show that impacts can launch debris at speeds high enough to escape gravity, making interplanetary transfer plausible. Imagine a comet passing through the early solar system. Its surface is covered with ice mixed with organic compounds. As it travels, radiation and chemical reactions create more complex molecules. Eventually, the comet collides with a young Earth. The impact scatters these molecules across the planet, where they mix with water and minerals. Over time, they form the first living cells. This natural version of panspermia would make life a common byproduct of planetary formation, appearing wherever conditions are right. Another possibility is that Earth itself may one day send life outward. Humans have already launched spacecraft carrying microbes intentionally or accidentally. Spacecraft are sterilized before missions to prevent contamination, but no process is perfect. If life can survive in space, even a single stowaway microbe could begin the process of seeding another planet. This means that panspermia might not just explain our past. It could also describe our future role in spreading life through the cosmos. The Panspermia hypothesis changes how we think about our place in the universe. If life is interconnected across worlds, then Earth is part of a much larger web of biology. Our distant ancestors might not have been purely terrestrial. They could have come from a world that no longer exists, or from a planet orbiting another star. When we look up at the night sky, we may not just be seeing distant lights. We may be seeing the birthplace of our own origins, scattered across space like seeds waiting to take root on new worlds. The grey aliens theory describes a specific image of extraterrestrial beings that has become one of the most recognizable in popular culture. These beings are usually described as small, thin creatures with grey skin, large oval, shaped black eyes, and oversized heads. They are often said to have long, slender arms and fingers, with little or no visible nose or mouth. This image has appeared in countless books, movies, and television shows, making it the default mental picture many people have when they think of aliens. The theory goes beyond appearance, though, linking these beings to stories of abduction, secret experiments, and hidden encounters with humans. The origin of the grey alien image can be traced to the mid-20th century. One of the earliest and most famous reports came from Betty and Barney Hill in 1961. The Hills claimed that while driving through rural New Hampshire at night, they encountered a strange craft. They later recalled, under hypnosis, seeing small grey beings with large eyes who took them aboard the ship. According to their account, the beings performed medical examinations before releasing them. This story gained widespread attention and shaped the modern idea of alien abductions. Details from the Hills account, like the emotionless faces and the cold, clinical nature of the experience, became common elements in later reports. Since then, thousands of people around the world have claimed to experience similar events. Many describe being taken from their homes or vehicles, often at night. They report missing time, waking up in unusual locations, or having vague memories of bright lights and strange figures. The consistent description of the beings across different cases is what keeps the grey alien theory alive. Witnesses who do not know each other often describe the same basic features: short height, grey skin, large heads, and black, unblinking eyes. Supporters of the theory argue that this consistency suggests the reports are based on real encounters rather than imagination. One common theme in abduction stories is medical or scientific examination. Many people describe being placed on a table while the beings perform procedures using unfamiliar tools. The atmosphere is often described as sterile and detached, with the beings showing no visible emotion. Some abductees recall communication through telepathy, rather than spoken language. This detail adds to the sense that the beings are highly advanced and operate in ways humans cannot fully understand. In some cases, people report receiving visions or messages about environmental disasters, wars, or the future of humanity, as if the aliens are warning or guiding us. Skeptics offer other explanations for these experiences. Sleep paralysis is one possibility. During sleep paralysis, a person wakes up while their body remains temporarily immobile. This state can cause vivid hallucinations and a feeling of pressure or presence in the room. Because the mind is half awake, the images can feel extremely real. Cultural factors also play a role. In societies where stories about grey aliens are common, people experiencing sleep paralysis might interpret their visions through that lens. This could explain why so many descriptions match the popular image of the Greys. Despite skepticism, some abduction cases include unusual physical evidence. There are reports of small burns or marks on the skin that appear overnight, or implants found under the skin with no clear medical explanation. In a few cases, multiple witnesses claim to have seen the same event, reducing the chance of individual hallucination. While these pieces of evidence are not definitive, they keep the debate open. Believers argue that if even one case is genuine, it suggests an ongoing interaction between humans and an advanced non-human species. The theory also connects to sightings of unidentified flying objects. People who report close encounters with craft often describe seeing small grey figures either outside the craft or inside through windows or open doors. These sightings reinforce the link between the beings and the vehicles believed to be alien in origin. If the objects are indeed advanced spacecraft, then the Greys would be their pilots or scientists. In this view, the abductions are part of a larger mission to study Earth and its inhabitants, much like humans might study animals in the wild. Some researchers suggest that grey aliens may not be biological in the way we think of life. Their uniform appearance, lack of visible expression, and robotic behavior lead some to believe they could be artificial beings, like highly advanced drones or androids. If true, This would mean they are tools created by another species, rather than the species itself. This idea would explain how they can withstand the stresses of space travel, and why they seem so focused on data collection rather than interaction. There are also theories about why the Greys might be interested in humans. One common suggestion is genetic study. Many abductees report procedures related to reproduction, such as the collection of eggs or sperm. Some even describe seeing hybrid beings that appear part human and part alien. These details have led to speculation that the Greys are trying to create a new species or repair problems with their own genetics. If their civilization is very old, they might face issues like infertility or genetic decay, and humans could represent a solution. Imagine a scenario in which the Greys come from a dying world. Their population is dwindling, and their bodies are failing due to centuries of inbreeding or environmental damage. They discover Earth and find that humans have compatible biology. By studying and blending human genetic material with their own, they hope to preserve their species. From their perspective, these actions could be seen as necessary for survival. From our perspective, however, the lack of consent and the fear caused by abductions make the situation deeply disturbing. The grey alien image has become so widespread that it now shapes popular culture. Movies, television shows, and books often use their appearance as a shorthand for alien life. This creates a feedback loop. People see greys in the media, which influences their expectations and memories, which in turn reinforces the cultural image. Skeptics argue that this cycle explains why reports are so similar. Believers counter that the consistency comes from reality, not imagination. They claim that the greys look the same in stories because that is how they truly appear. Governments and military organizations have occasionally added fuel to the theory through secrecy. When authorities investigate UFO sightings but refuse to release full details, it creates suspicion. Some people believe that officials know about the greys but choose to hide the information to avoid panic or maintain control. This belief ties into broader ideas about cover-ups, secret agreements, and hidden research. Whether or not these claims are true, the lack of transparency keeps the theory alive. The grey aliens theory persists because it touches on deep fears and questions. It suggests that we are being watched and studied by beings far more advanced than us. It raises concerns about autonomy, consent, and the limits of our understanding, whether seen as real visitors, psychological projections, or cultural symbols. The greys represent the unknown. Each new report, whether credible or not, adds another layer to the mystery. The image of the small grey figure with unblinking black eyes continues to stand as a symbol of our fascination with what might exist beyond our world. The idea of interdimensional beings suggests that what we think of as aliens might not come from distant planets in our universe, but from parallel dimensions or alternate realities that exist alongside our own. Instead of traveling across vast stretches of space, these beings might move between layers of reality in ways we cannot fully understand. This theory offers a different way of explaining strange encounters and phenomena that do not fit neatly into the idea of physical spacecraft arriving from another star system. It also opens the possibility that these beings are closer than we think, hidden just beyond the limits of our perception. Modern physics includes concepts that allow for multiple dimensions beyond the three we experience every day. String theory, for example, suggests there may be many unseen dimensions curled up at scales too small for us to detect. Other scientific ideas propose that there could be entire parallel universes, each with its own version of space, time, and physical laws. These universes might be completely separate, or they might occasionally interact at certain points. If intelligent beings exist in one of these alternate realities, they might have ways to cross over into ours. To us, their arrival would seem mysterious and unexplainable, as if they appeared out of nowhere. Imagine two sheets of paper lying flat, one on top of the other. If each sheet represents a different dimension, the beings on one sheet cannot normally see or touch those on the other. But if someone were to poke a pencil through both sheets, the beings might see a brief glimpse of something foreign, without understanding what it truly is. In this analogy, our universe is one sheet, and another dimension is the other. Interdimensional beings could be like the pencil, crossing from their world into ours, through points of connection we do not understand. When they leave, they vanish just as suddenly. This idea can explain why reports of strange creatures and events are often fleeting and inconsistent. People who claim to see unidentified flying objects or unusual beings often describe them appearing and disappearing without warning. Physical evidence is rare or incomplete, which fits with the idea that these visitors are not fully part of our reality. If they only partially manifest in our world, they might leave behind traces that are difficult to measure or interpret. This could also explain why UFOs sometimes seem to defy the laws of physics, making sharp turns, hovering silently or accelerating instantly. They might not be bound by the same physical rules we experience. Many abduction stories and encounters include elements that sound more like experiences of altered states than traditional space travel. People describe losing time, passing through walls, or floating in strange environments that do not follow the normal rules of space and gravity. These details make sense if the beings involved are interdimensional rather than extraterrestrial. Instead of flying here in a metal ship, they could be shifting the person's consciousness or body between realities. To the person involved, the experience would feel real and physical, but it might not happen entirely within our familiar world. There are also connections between this theory and folklore. Throughout history, cultures around the world have stories of mysterious beings that appear and disappear, often with strange fairies, spirits, and gods in old myths share similarities with modern descriptions of aliens. For example, some fairy tales describe people being taken to other realms, only to return and find that time has passed differently. This is similar to modern reports of missing time during abduction events. Supporters of the interdimensional theory suggest that these old stories might describe the same phenomenon, interpreted through different cultural lenses. The beings involved might have always been present, but humans have understood them in different ways depending on the era. Consider a scenario where these beings are not hostile but curious. They might study us as we study animals in the wild. If they live in a dimension that overlaps with ours, they could observe without needing to travel across space. Sometimes their presence might become visible due to natural fluctuations or deliberate actions on their part. A person walking alone in a forest might suddenly see a figure appear out of thin air, or a strange light might flicker in the sky before fading. From our perspective, it would seem like a random event. From theirs, it could be a routine part of their interaction with our world. Some researchers link interdimensional ideas to unexplained events like ghost sightings or paranormal activity. If other dimensions are close to ours, occasional overlaps could produce strange phenomena. A being crossing over might be seen as a ghost, a demon, or an alien, depending on the observer's beliefs. This could explain why different cultures describe similar events with different names. The underlying cause might be the same, but the interpretation changes. In this view, many mysteries that seem separate could actually be connected through a single framework of interdimensional interaction. From a scientific perspective, the concept of dimensions beyond our own is not entirely speculative. Experiments in physics have already revealed that particles can behave in ways that suggest connections beyond normal space and time. Quantum entanglement, for instance, shows that two particles can influence each other instantly across great distances, as if linked by something outside our physical universe. While this is not direct evidence of other dimensions, it hints at the possibility that reality is more complex than it appears. If advanced beings understood these principles better than we do, they might be able to move between dimensions as easily as we move through space. Imagine a species that evolved in a neighboring dimension with slightly different physical laws. They might develop technology or natural abilities that allow them to cross over into our world at will. To them, the process could be routine, like stepping through a doorway. To us, it would seem miraculous. This would also explain why we have no clear evidence of their homeworld. They do not come from a planet we can point to with a telescope. Their origin lies outside the boundaries of our observable universe. Skeptics of the interdimensional theory argue that it replaces one mystery with another. Instead of explaining where aliens come from, it raises questions about how other dimensions exist and how travel between them works. There is currently no direct way to test these ideas, making them difficult to prove or disprove. Critics also point out that many encounters can be explained through psychological factors, such as hallucinations, sleep paralysis, or cultural influence. However, supporters argue that these explanations do not account for every detail, especially cases involving multiple witnesses or physical traces. In everyday life, we are limited by our senses and our understanding of the physical world. Just as ancient humans could not perceive germs or radio waves, there may be aspects of reality we cannot yet detect interdimensional beings, if they exist, might live in those hidden layers. Their interactions with us could be rare and subtle, leaving only fragments of evidence, whether they are studying us, guiding us, or simply passing through. Their presence would challenge our ideas about the universe and our place within it. The theory offers a way to connect many unexplained phenomena under a single idea. Strange lights in the sky, abduction experiences, paranormal encounters, and ancient myths might all describe different aspects of contact with beings from beyond our dimension. If this is true, the search for aliens might not involve looking outward to distant stars, but inward to the unseen structures of reality itself. The answers could be much closer than we imagine, just beyond the veil of what our senses can perceive. The theory of extraterrestrial technological seeding suggests that aliens may have played a direct role in shaping human evolution by introducing advanced technology or even altering our genetic makeup. This idea goes beyond the notion that aliens merely visited Earth in the distant past. Instead, it proposes that they actively intervened in the development of life on this planet, pushing it forward in ways that natural evolution alone might not explain. Supporters of this theory believe that certain leaps in human progress, both biological and technological, happened too quickly to be random. They argue that outside influence could account for these sudden changes. One area where this theory focuses attention is the evolution of the human brain. Compared to other animals, the human brain grew rapidly and developed unique abilities such as complex language, abstract thought, and advanced problem solving. Fossil evidence shows that early hominids lived for millions of years with relatively simple tools and limited social structures. Then, within a relatively short span of time, modern humans appeared with advanced skills and cultures. This sudden shift is sometimes called the Great Leap Forward. Advocates of extraterrestrial seeding suggest that an outside force might have been responsible, perhaps by introducing new DNA into early human populations. In this view, humans may be part of a deliberate experiment designed to produce a species capable of intelligence and creativity. Genetic research adds another layer to the discussion. Scientists have identified certain genes that seem to have appeared suddenly in the human lineage, without clear precursors in related species. While these findings can be explained through natural mutation and selection, supporters of the seeding theory see them as potential evidence of outside tampering. They imagine a scenario where an advanced alien species visits Earth and implants specific genes to accelerate the development of traits like brain size, communication, or tool use. To the early humans, these visitors might have appeared as gods or supernatural beings, leaving stories and myths that we still see in ancient texts today. This theory also looks at the origins of technology. Throughout history, there have been periods where human societies made dramatic advances in a short time. For example, the sudden rise of agriculture, writing, and complex architecture in ancient Mesopotamia has led some to wonder if external guidance played a role. The construction of monumental structures like the Great Pyramid of Giza or the stone city of Machu Picchu shows a level of engineering skill that seems extraordinary for the time, while archaeologists explain these achievements through human ingenuity and labor. Supporters of technological seeding suggest that alien visitors may have provided knowledge or tools to help early civilizations achieve these feats. Imagine a small human community thousands of years ago. They live in simple huts, hunting and gathering to survive. One day, a group of beings arrives with tools and knowledge far beyond anything the humans have ever seen. These visitors teach them how to plant crops, shape stone, and build structures that last for centuries. Over time, the visitors leave, but the skills remain passed down through generations. The humans may not understand where this knowledge came from, so they create myths about gods who, in this way, the theory explains why so many ancient cultures have legends about divine beings teaching them the secrets of civilization. The theory also offers a way to explain mysterious artifacts and ancient texts. Some carvings and writings appear to depict advanced technology, such as flying machines or complex astronomical knowledge. Mainstream historians interpret these as symbolic or artistic expressions. However, to supporters of seeding, they could be literal records of interactions with advanced beings. For instance, some ancient Sumerian texts describe beings called the Anunnaki who came from the heavens and gave humans knowledge. Whether these stories are myth or history depends on interpretation, but they fit neatly into the framework of extraterrestrial intervention. Another angle involves the rapid pace of modern technological growth. In the past few centuries, humans have gone from using horse-drawn carts to exploring outer space and creating powerful computers. Some see this acceleration as part of a natural process driven by cumulative knowledge. Others wonder if there has been outside influence, either subtle or direct. For example, the sudden appearance of certain materials or scientific ideas might reflect guidance from a more advanced source. If aliens were interested in pushing humanity toward a certain level of development, they might release information gradually, ensuring that progress happens in manageable steps. Critics of this theory argue that it underestimates human creativity and adaptability. They point out that evolution and innovation often proceed in fits and starts, with long periods of stability interrupted by bursts of change. Archaeological evidence shows how small improvements can snowball over time, leading to rapid advances without the need for external help. From this perspective, the great monuments of the past were built through trial, error, and determination, rather than alien intervention. Genetic changes, too, can occur through natural processes, especially in populations under environmental pressure. Despite these counterarguments, the idea of extraterrestrial seeding remains appealing because it offers a dramatic and simple explanation for complex events. It also aligns with human experiences of sudden inspiration or unexplained breakthroughs. For instance, a scientist might have a dream that leads to a major discovery. While we usually attribute this to the workings of the subconscious mind, the theory allows for the possibility that such ideas could be planted deliberately by outside beings. This would mean that our achievements are not entirely our own, but part of a broader plan. Consider a future scenario to better understand the concept. Suppose humans develop the ability to travel to other star systems and find a planet with primitive life forms. We might choose to guide their evolution, perhaps by adding genes or teaching basic technologies. Our motives could be scientific curiosity, a desire to spread life, or even a sense of responsibility. From the perspective of the beings on that planet, our actions would be mysterious and godlike. They might tell stories about visitors from the sky who gave them fire or taught them to build. This mirrors what the seeding theory suggests may have already happened to us. Some versions of the theory focus on DNA rather than physical technology. In these accounts, aliens might have encoded messages or blueprints within the structure of our genetic material. Scientists studying human DNA have found patterns and repeated sequences, most of which have natural explanations. Still, the idea of a hidden message remains intriguing. If such a message existed, it could be a way for an alien species to communicate across vast stretches of time. Even if their civilization disappeared, their influence would live on in the very building blocks of our bodies. The theory of extraterrestrial technological seeding ties together many mysteries: the sudden appearance of complex human traits, unexplained ancient knowledge, and the rapid rise of modern science. Whether viewed as metaphor or literal truth, it challenges us to think about our origins in a broader context. If we are part of a larger experiment or project, then our history may be only one chapter in a much older story, guided by hands we cannot see but whose effects are woven into the progress of our species. The idea that ancient texts might record encounters with aliens rather than purely spiritual or mythical events has fascinated many people. This theory suggests that when ancient writers described gods, angels, demons, or otherworldly beings, they may have been trying to explain encounters with advanced extraterrestrial visitors using the language and concepts they had at the time. Since these people had no knowledge of space travel or advanced technology, they interpreted what they saw through their cultural and religious beliefs. Over time, these accounts became sacred texts, myths, and legends. One of the most cited examples comes from the Bible. In the book of Ezekiel, there is a passage describing a vision of a flying object surrounded by wheels within wheels, glowing metal, and strange beings. Traditional interpretations see this as a spiritual vision or a metaphor for divine power. Supporters of the alien encounter theory suggest it could describe a spacecraft. Ezekiel, living in a time without modern machines, might have compared what he saw to the most advanced things he knew, like wheels, fire, and shining bronze. In this view, the chariot of fire was not a symbol of faith, but a physical craft descending from the sky. The story of Elijah being taken up to heaven in a whirlwind has also been reinterpreted in this way. Instead of a purely spiritual ascent, some suggest Elijah was physically taken aboard a ship. The same idea applies to other biblical stories, such as the pillar of cloud by day and pillar of fire by night, that guided the Israelites through the desert. These descriptions could fit the behavior of a hovering craft using unknown technology, appearing as smoke or light depending on the conditions. Hindu scriptures contain even more detailed descriptions that some see as evidence of advanced technology. Ancient texts like the Mahabharata and the Ramayana mention flying vehicles called vimanas. These machines are described in ways that resemble aircraft, with references to propulsion, battles in the sky, and even weapons with destructive power. In some passages, the weapons sound similar to modern descriptions of missiles or nuclear explosions. For example, one text speaks of a weapon that caused the hair and nails of people to fall out and food to become contaminated, which parallels the effects of radiation. Believers in the alien theory argue that these are not symbolic but literal accounts of technology witnessed by ancient people. Imagine a person living thousands of years ago who sees a large metal craft descend from the sky. They have never seen anything like it. They might describe it as a golden palace or a divine chariot. If beings emerge from the craft wearing protective suits, those figures could be interpreted as gods or angels. The experience would be overwhelming and difficult to explain to others, so the person would use familiar language and religious concepts. Over generations, the story would be copied and retold, eventually becoming part of sacred literature. The details would shift, but the core experience might still be recognizable. In the book of Genesis, there is a mysterious passage about the sons of God taking human wives and producing offspring called the Nephilim. Some traditional interpretations see this as a story about angels or spiritual beings. The alien encounter theory suggests it could describe interbreeding between humans and extraterrestrials. In this view, the Nephilim were hybrids, the result of genetic mixing between an advanced species and early humans. This ties into other theories about aliens influencing human evolution, perhaps by introducing new genetic material to speed up our development. The story of the Tower of Babel has also been re-examined. The text describes humans building a tower to reach the heavens, after which God confuses their language and scatters them across the earth. From an alien perspective, this could be seen as humans attempting to build technology or structures that threatened the visitors' control. The confusion of languages might represent a deliberate intervention to slow human progress and keep different groups from uniting too quickly. Critics argue that these interpretations rely on reading modern ideas into ancient texts. Many passages use poetic or symbolic language that was never meant to be taken literally. For example, describing a vision of fire or light could simply be a way of expressing spiritual awe rather than advanced machinery. Religious scholars often emphasize the cultural and historical context of the writings, showing how metaphors and storytelling were common tools for teaching moral lessons. From this perspective, there is no need to involve aliens to explain the imagery. Supporters counter that some descriptions are too specific to be purely symbolic. When a text mentions machines with detailed parts, precise movements, or effects similar to modern weapons, they argue that it hints at real technology. They also note that similar themes appear in different cultures, separated by vast distances and time periods. Stories of beings descending from the sky, giving knowledge to humans, and then departing are found in Africa, Asia, the Americas, and this consistency suggests a shared reality behind the myths. For example, Native American legends speak of star people who came down and taught the tribes about agriculture and healing. In Mesoamerican cultures, figures like Quetzalcoatl are described as coming from the sky and bringing knowledge of mathematics and astronomy. In ancient Egypt, the gods are often depicted as arriving in boats that descended from the heavens. These accounts may represent independent interpretations of the same type of encounter. If visitors traveled around the world in ancient times, each culture would record the events in its own style, using its own language and symbols. Imagine how future archaeologists might interpret our own time. If they had only fragments of information, they might find descriptions of airplanes, satellites, and space travel, but not understand the technology. If all they had were myths and incomplete records, they might assume that these machines were magical or divine. Similarly, ancient texts could be the incomplete records of events that involved real physical technology. Some researchers look at specific artifacts in connection with these writings. For example, carvings in temples or caves sometimes show figures with helmets, suits, or what appear to be vehicles. While mainstream archaeology sees these as symbolic art, alien theorists view them as literal depictions. They argue that ancient artists were simply recording what they saw. A person carving a stone tablet would not invent the idea of a flying machine unless they had witnessed something like it. The alien interpretation of ancient texts also raises questions about how knowledge was passed down. If advanced visitors taught humans about astronomy, agriculture, or architecture, This could explain sudden leaps in human progress. For instance, the precise alignment of the pyramids with celestial bodies suggests an understanding of astronomy far ahead of its time. Similarly, the complex calendars of the Maya and other ancient peoples might reflect teachings from beings with advanced knowledge. Whether these texts are literal history or symbolic stories, they continue to inspire debate. The idea that ancient writings may contain hidden records of alien contact challenges our understanding of the past. It suggests that our ancestors may have been witnesses to extraordinary events, and that their descriptions, preserved in scripture and myth, are the only clues we have to a much larger story. The Breakaway civilization theory suggests that a hidden group of humans has advanced far beyond the technology and knowledge available to the public. This group may have achieved breakthroughs in energy, propulsion, medicine, and even space travel, creating a separate path of development, while the rest of humanity lives with familiar technology like cars, planes, and satellites. This hidden society could be decades or even centuries ahead. According to some versions of the theory, this advanced group may have achieved its position through direct assistance from extraterrestrials, either by recovering alien technology or through ongoing cooperation with non-human beings. The roots of this theory often trace back to historical events involving secrecy and rapid technological growth. For example, during World War II, governments developed advanced weapons like radar and jet engines under strict secrecy. The Manhattan Project, which created the atomic bomb, involved thousands of people working in hidden facilities without the public knowing. This shows that massive secret projects are possible. Supporters of the breakaway civilization idea argue that if such secrecy was possible, then it could also happen now on an even larger scale. They believe that certain discoveries have been deliberately hidden to maintain control and prevent disruption of existing social and economic systems. Zone scenario, often described, begins with the recovery of a crashed alien spacecraft. This might involve a government or private group finding a craft and studying its technology in secret. If scientists were able to reverse engineer even part of it, the resulting advancements could revolutionize transportation, energy production, and materials science. Instead of sharing these discoveries, the group might decide to keep them hidden. By doing so, they would gain a tremendous advantage over the rest of the world. Over time, this secret knowledge could grow into a self-contained civilization, separate from the visible one we all live in. Consider how different the two worlds might be. In the public world, we still rely on fossil fuels, chemical rockets, and physical infrastructure like roads and power grids. In the breakaway world, they might use zero-point energy or advanced forms of propulsion that make space travel routine. They could have cities built in remote areas under the ocean or even on other planets. Their understanding of medicine could eliminate diseases that we still struggle to cure. To the people living in the hidden civilization, our world might seem primitive, much as we view ancient societies that lacked electricity or modern tools. Some versions of the theory focus on the role of private organizations rather than governments. Corporations involved in aerospace, defense, or advanced research could be ideal cover for secret projects. By operating through private channels, they would avoid the transparency and oversight that governments face. The public would see only the products released for commercial use, while the most advanced breakthroughs would remain classified. In this view, a network of corporations, intelligence agencies, and secret scientific groups work together to maintain the separation between the two civilizations. The idea of alien involvement adds another layer to the theory. Some believe that extraterrestrials have been interacting with humans for centuries or longer. In this scenario, certain groups of humans may have been chosen to receive knowledge directly. The aliens might provide guidance, technology, or even genetic modifications to help their partners achieve a higher level of development. This relationship could be cooperative or exploitative, depending on the motives of the non-human beings. If such a partnership exists, it would explain why the breakaway civilization is so far ahead, and why their technology seems almost magical compared to what we know. Imagine a scientist working for a high-level research project who encounters technology that defies known physics. This technology might allow instant communication across vast distances or ships that can travel between planets without traditional fuel. The scientist signs strict agreements never to reveal what they have seen. Their research continues, funded by hidden budgets and protected by powerful organizations. Meanwhile, the public hears only about gradual progress, like slightly faster computers or more efficient engines. From the outside, it seems like innovation is steady but limited. Inside the hidden world, breakthroughs are happening at a pace we cannot imagine. There are stories of unusual aircraft that resemble UFOs but may actually be human-made. These craft, often described as silent, fast, and able to hover without visible propulsion, could be the result of decades of secret research. Witnesses, including military pilots and civilians, have reported seeing such objects. While some assume they are alien ships, the breakaway civilization theory suggests they might be advanced human vehicles tested in secret. This would mean that our species already has the ability to travel far beyond Earth, but chooses to keep it hidden for reasons of control or safety. Supporters of the theory often point to unexplained gaps in our understanding of history. There are ancient structures, like the pyramids or stone circles, that required immense knowledge and skill to build. Some suggest that these might represent earlier periods of advanced human civilization, now lost to time. If so, our current breakaway civilization might be part of a repeating cycle, in which certain groups rise to great heights and then disappear from public view. This could mean that advanced societies have existed alongside simpler ones many times throughout history. Critics argue that the breakaway civilization theory is difficult to prove because it relies on secrecy by its very nature. Without direct evidence, it is hard to distinguish between speculation and fact. Skeptics point out that even highly classified programs, like the Manhattan Project, eventually became known. They also note that managing a hidden civilization with advanced cities and spacecraft would require massive resources and coordination, making leaks almost inevitable. From this perspective, sightings of unusual craft or sudden technological jumps can be explained by conventional secret projects rather than a completely separate society. Despite these criticisms, the theory remains compelling because it explains certain patterns. For example, there are times when technology seems to leap forward suddenly, with little explanation for how the discoveries were made. The rapid development of computers, stealth aircraft, and other innovations could suggest hidden sources of knowledge. Similarly, the secrecy surrounding places like Area 51 and the release of classified documents related to UFOs fuel public suspicion that more is being hidden than revealed. Imagine a future where the hidden and public civilizations finally meet. To us, their technology would seem almost supernatural. We might see vehicles that move without sound, buildings that grow from living materials, or energy sources that never run out. Their knowledge of space and time could be so advanced that they appear to manipulate reality itself. From their perspective, we would be like an earlier version of themselves, still struggling with basic questions they solved long ago. This meeting could be peaceful, with the advanced group guiding us forward, or it could be tense, with conflicts over resources and control. The breakaway civilization theory challenges our understanding of progress and secrecy. It suggests that the most important discoveries of our time may be happening out of sight, shaped by forces we do not see. Whether or not aliens are involved, the idea that a group of humans could advance so far beyond the rest of us raises questions about the future of our species and the true limits of our potential. It forces us to consider that what we call the modern world might only be the visible surface of a much deeper and more complex reality. The Galactic Federation theory proposes that Earth is being watched by a group of advanced alien civilizations that work together, much like countries forming an alliance. This federation would act as a governing body for different species across the galaxy, setting rules and enforcing them to maintain order. According to this idea, humans are a young civilization still learning to manage our planet and technology. Because of this, we are not yet ready to join the larger galactic community. The Federation's role would be to monitor our progress and make sure we do not harm ourselves or disrupt the balance of other worlds. Supporters of this theory believe that open contact between humans and aliens is restricted by strict guidelines. These rules might forbid direct interference with developing civilizations, similar to how humans protect isolated tribes on Earth by avoiding direct contact. The Federation prevents cultural shock or dependence on advanced technology. This could explain why we have no confirmed evidence of alien visits, even if they are nearby. If they are following a rule of non-interference, they would remain hidden while still observing us closely. Some compare this to wildlife researchers watching animals in the wild without disturbing their natural behavior. The theory often ties into UFO sightings and abduction stories. Witnesses report seeing strange craft or encountering beings with unusual appearances. Believers suggest these events might be limited interactions allowed under Federation rules. For example, small-scale studies or controlled contact could be permitted as long as they do not reveal the full reality to the broader population. A UFO sighting might be like a brief patrol or inspection, with the craft quickly leaving to avoid detection. Abductions could be research missions, similar to how scientists capture and study animals before releasing them back into the wild. From our point of view, these encounters seem random and mysterious. From theirs, they could be routine operations carried out under strict supervision. Some versions of the theory include the idea of a galactic council, made up of representatives from many different species. These representatives would debate policies, resolve conflicts, and coordinate actions across the galaxy. Earth's situation would be just one of many issues they handle. If humans ever reach a certain level of technological and social maturity, we might be invited to send a representative of our own. This milestone could involve demonstrating that we can manage our planet responsibly, avoid large-scale war, and explore space without posing a threat to others. Until then, the Federation would keep a close watch, ready to step in if we become too dangerous. Imagine a scenario in which humans develop powerful new weapons, such as advanced nuclear devices or biological tools that could spread beyond our planet. If these weapons risk harming other civilizations, the Federation might intervene quietly to neutralize the threat. This intervention could appear to us as a technical failure or unexplained event. For instance, a missile might malfunction at the last second, or a dangerous experiment might fail for reasons scientists cannot explain. From our perspective, it would seem like luck or coincidence. In reality, it could be deliberate action by the Federation to keep our activities under control. Historical events are sometimes reinterpreted through this lens. Ancient texts describing gods descending from the sky, giving knowledge, and then departing might represent early contacts between humans and the Federation. At that time, our ancestors lacked the language to describe alien visitors, so they used religious or mythical terms instead. These early interactions could have been part of a long-term plan to guide humanity's growth. Once humans began to build complex societies, open visits may have been phased out to encourage independent development. The remaining influence would appear only in myths and legends, while the actual visitors withdrew to a hidden role. Some whistleblowers and former military personnel have claimed that governments are aware of the Federation's existence but keep it secret. They suggest that agreements may exist between certain governments and alien groups, These agreements could involve the exchange of information or limited cooperation, with strict rules about what can be shared publicly. Area 51 and other highly classified sites are often mentioned as locations where this activity might take place. Whether or not these claims are true, they add to the perception that the world's leaders know more about extraterrestrial life than they admit. Critics of the theory argue that there is no solid evidence for a galactic federation. They point out that sightings and testimonies are inconsistent and often lack verifiable details. They also note that maintaining a galaxy-wide government would be an enormous challenge. Different species might have conflicting needs and values, making cooperation difficult. From this perspective, the idea of a perfectly organized federation seems unlikely. Instead, unexplained events could have simpler explanations, such as natural phenomena, experimental aircraft, or psychological factors. Despite these objections, the theory remains appealing because it provides a framework for understanding the mystery of alien silence. The Fermi Paradox asks why, if intelligent life is common, we have not seen clear signs of it. The Federation theory offers an answer. Aliens are out there, but they deliberately avoid revealing themselves. This solution explains both the lack of direct evidence and the occasional hints of something greater. It suggests that humanity is part of a much larger network, even if we do not yet realize it. Consider how humans treat developing nations or isolated groups on Earth. International organizations like the United Nations set rules to prevent exploitation and conflict. Similarly, the Federation could act as a guardian, protecting less advanced civilizations from harm. If humans ever encounter this group directly, the experience might resemble joining a vast interstellar community. There would be negotiations, agreements, and introductions to species with histories stretching back millions of years. Our understanding of the universe would expand overnight, but the transition would need to be managed carefully to avoid chaos. The presence of a galactic federation would also change how we view UFO reports. Instead of random visitors, each sighting could represent a specific mission or protocol. A hovering craft might be a routine patrol. A sudden burst of light in the sky could be a ship entering or leaving our dimension. Even unexplained disappearances or recoveries of lost technology might fit into a controlled plan. From the outside, these events seem disconnected and strange. From within the Federation, they could be as orderly as air traffic management on Earth. The theory raises profound questions about free will and independence. If humanity is being guided by outside forces, how much of our progress is truly our own? Are wars, inventions, and social changes purely the result of human effort? Or are they influenced by subtle interventions from above? Supporters of the theory suggest that the Federation's goal is not to control us directly, but to ensure that our choices do not endanger others. In this sense, we are like a young nation learning to govern itself under the watchful eyes of older, wiser neighbors. The Galactic Federation theory offers a vision of the universe as an interconnected network of civilizations. In this vision, Earth is not alone, but part of a vast and ancient community. Whether the Federation exists or not, the idea challenges us to think about our place among the stars, and to consider how our actions might look to those who are watching from the shadows. The time traveler alien theory suggests that what we think of as extraterrestrials may not be beings from another planet at all. Instead, they could be humans from the far future who have developed technology that allows them to travel through time. This idea changes the way we look at UFO sightings, abduction reports, and ancient stories of mysterious visitors. Instead of imagining a civilization light years away crossing space to visit Earth, this theory says that the visitors are our own descendants, returning to observe or even interact with their ancestors. One of the main arguments for this theory is the similarity between descriptions of aliens and certain human features. The classic image of a grey alien includes a large head, small body, and large black eyes. Supporters of the theory suggest this could be an evolved version of humanity. Over thousands or millions of years, humans might develop larger brains, resulting in bigger skulls. As physical labor becomes less important, bodies could become thinner and weaker. If our species relies more on vision and mental abilities, our eyes might grow larger, while our mouths and noses shrink, due to changes in diet and communication. This would explain why so many reported alien sightings describe beings that look somewhat human yet very different at the same time. If these beings are from the future, their presence in our time would require advanced control over the flow of time itself. Current science does not allow time travel, but certain theories in physics suggest it could be possible under extreme conditions. Concepts like wormholes and the bending of space-time are still theoretical, but a future civilization might have mastered them. Just as humans today can fly across oceans, something impossible to our distant ancestors, future humans might navigate time with the same ease. Consider a scenario where a group of scientists in the far future wants to study the early development of their species. They might send teams back in time to observe key moments in history. These travelers would need to remain hidden to avoid disrupting events. If they are seen by accident, the witnesses might describe them as strange beings from the sky, not realizing they are actually looking at their own descendants. This could explain why UFO sightings often involve sudden appearances and disappearances. The visitors could be moving in and out of our time rather than across space. Abduction stories also take on a different meaning under this theory. Many people who report being taken by aliens describe medical examinations. If the visitors are future humans, these procedures might be research missions aimed at understanding genetics, diseases, or environmental changes in their own history. Collecting DNA samples, studying ancient bodies, or observing biological changes could help them solve problems in their own time. To the person being examined, the experience would feel terrifying and alien. To the time travelers, it might be similar to archaeologists carefully studying ancient remains, except their subjects are still alive. This idea could also explain why alien encounters are often so mysterious and inconsistent. Time travelers would have strict rules to avoid altering history. They might need to erase memories, limit their interactions, or appear only briefly. If they revealed too much, they could change the course of events in unpredictable ways. This might be why some abduction stories include reports of missing time or partial memories. The travelers could be using technology to block certain recollections, ensuring that the timeline remains stable. The theory also connects to ancient texts and myths. Many old stories describe gods or beings who descended from the sky, taught humans skills, and then vanished. If future humans visited the distant past, early civilizations might interpret their technology as divine power. For example, a flying craft might be described as a chariot of fire, and advanced tools could be seen as magical artifacts. Over time, these encounters would be woven into religion and folklore. This could explain similarities between myths from different cultures around the world, all pointing to encounters with mysterious sky beings. Imagine a future society facing extinction due to environmental collapse, disease, or other threats. Time travel could be their last hope. They might journey into the past to study their history, searching for clues to prevent disaster. In some versions of the theory, they could even attempt to alter events slightly, guiding humanity toward choices that lead to a better future. These interventions would have to be subtle to avoid major disruptions. A small suggestion here, a warning there, all hidden beneath the surface of history. From our point of view, these actions might appear as coincidences or unexplained moments of inspiration. The appearance of UFOs in modern times could represent ongoing monitoring by these future humans. The craft often described in sightings might not be spaceships in the traditional sense, but time machines designed to move through both space and time. Their unusual flight patterns, hovering, instant acceleration, silent movement, could result from technology that operates outside the normal limits of physics. If they can manipulate time, they might seem to defy gravity and momentum, creating the strange behaviors witnesses report. One reason this theory is appealing is that it avoids some of the problems with interstellar travel. Reaching even the nearest star would take immense resources and vast amounts of time using current technology. If the visitors are future humans, they do not need to cross interstellar distances. They are already here, on Earth, just at a different point in history. Their focus would be on understanding and preserving their own timeline rather than exploring distant galaxies. Critics argue that time travel raises logical problems such as paradoxes. For instance, if a future human changes something in the past, it could erase their own existence. Supporters of the theory suggest that advanced travelers might have ways to prevent these issues, such as creating alternate timelines or using strict protocols to avoid direct interference. They might only observe, not interact, unless absolutely necessary. This would explain the secrecy and the lack of clear evidence left behind. There are also philosophical questions about what it means if the theory is true. If aliens are actually humans from the future, then every encounter is part of our own story. The mysteries of UFOs and abductions would not involve an outside species, but our descendants looking back at us. It would mean that humanity has a future advanced enough to master time itself, even if that future is facing challenges we cannot imagine. This possibility offers both hope and caution. It suggests survival and progress, but also hints at struggles so great they require intervention in the past. Some witnesses who have encountered so-called aliens describe feelings of familiarity rather than complete otherness. They report sensing emotions or thoughts that seem human, even if the beings look strange. This fits with the idea that these are not entirely foreign creatures. Their technology and appearance may be different, but at their core, they share a connection with us. They might even see us as family, separated by countless generations and vast stretches of time. The time traveler alien theory reshapes how we view unexplained phenomena. Instead of distant invaders or visitors, the beings we glimpse might be here to study, guide, or protect their own origins. Every strange light in the sky, every mysterious encounter, could be part of a complex effort to understand the flow of history. To them, we are the past. To us, they are the future, reaching back through the fabric of time to ensure that the chain of events continues unbroken. The Great Filter Hypothesis is an attempt to explain why, despite the vastness of the universe and the high probability of life existing elsewhere, we have not seen any clear signs of advanced alien civilizations. It suggests that somewhere along the path from simple life to a species capable of traveling between stars or communicating across galaxies, there is a barrier that very few, if any, civilizations can cross. This barrier, or filter, could be behind us, meaning humanity has already passed it, or ahead of us, meaning it still lies in our future. Understanding where the filter is located carries enormous consequences for our understanding of life and our own survival. The reasoning behind the hypothesis starts with numbers. Astronomers know that our galaxy alone has hundreds of billions of stars. Many of these stars have planets, and some of those planets are in what is called the habitable zone, where temperatures allow for liquid water. Life as we know it depends on water, so these planets are prime candidates for hosting living organisms. With so many possibilities, even a small percentage of life, friendly worlds should result in a large number of planets with living creatures. If evolution continues over billions of years, some of these creatures should eventually develop intelligence and technology, just as humans did on Earth. Given enough time, at least a few of these civilizations should become advanced enough to explore space or send signals. This makes the silence we experience, the lack of evidence for extraterrestrial life, very puzzling. This puzzle is known as the Fermi Paradox. The Great Filter is one possible solution to the paradox. It proposes that there is a step in the process of evolution and technological progress that is extremely unlikely. Almost every planet fails at this step, which explains why advanced civilizations are so rare or non-existent. For example, life itself might be very difficult to start, even if a planet has the right conditions. The jump from non-living chemicals to self-replicating organisms might happen only once in a trillion tries. In this case, Earth would be one of the rare places where it succeeded, and the filter would be behind us. This would mean that simple life elsewhere is very uncommon, and intelligent life even more so. Another possibility is that the filter occurs later in the process. Life might begin easily and spread widely, but complex, multicellular organisms could be extremely rare. On Earth, it took billions of years for single-celled organisms to evolve into more complex forms. If this step is nearly impossible, most planets might be filled with simple microbes, but never develop intelligent species. In this version of the theory, humanity is already very special, because we managed to pass through several rare stages of evolution that most planets never reach. The more unsettling possibility is that the filter lies ahead of us. In this scenario, many civilizations reach a stage similar to ours, developing technology and expanding across their planet. But at some point, they encounter a challenge they cannot overcome. This challenge could destroy them or limit their growth so completely that they never spread into space. If this is true, the silence of the cosmos means that other civilizations have tried and failed, and we are on the same path. The filter could be a natural disaster, such as a supervolcano, asteroid impact, or gamma ray burst. It could also be self-inflicted, like nuclear war, environmental collapse, or uncontrolled artificial intelligence. Whatever form it takes, it acts as a universal trap that prevents civilizations from surviving long enough to become interstellar. Imagine a group of early humans living thousands of years ago. They invent basic tools, discover fire, and learn to cooperate. Over time, they form villages and eventually cities. Each step brings new possibilities, but also new risks. For instance, the discovery of fire allowed cooking and warmth, but it also introduced the danger of accidental destruction. Now, think of humanity's current situation. We have reached a level where we can alter the climate, build weapons that can destroy our entire species, and create machines that might one day surpass our control. These are the kinds of risks that could represent a great filter ahead of us. If every civilization eventually invents something that leads to its downfall, it would explain why the stars seem so quiet. The idea of a future filter is deeply concerning, because it suggests that our current technological growth carries hidden dangers. It raises questions about whether our species will be wise enough to manage the power we are gaining. For example, nuclear weapons were invented less than a century ago, and their destructive potential is enormous. So far, humanity has avoided total catastrophe, but the danger remains. Similarly, developments in artificial intelligence, biotechnology and nanotechnology could create new risks we do not yet fully understand. If even one mistake is enough to wipe out a civilization, the odds of surviving long-term become very low. On the other hand, if the filter is behind us, it means we have already passed the most difficult steps. This would be good news for our future. It would suggest that while life might be common in the universe, intelligent, spacefaring civilizations are rare because so few worlds managed to reach our current stage. In this case, the silence of the cosmos reflects how special and unlikely our journey has been. It would mean that the universe is mostly empty, not because advanced species destroy themselves, but because they almost never arise in the first place. Scientists look for clues to determine which version might be correct. One way is by studying other planets and moons in our solar system. For example, if we find simple life on Mars, Europa, or Enceladus, it would suggest that life begins easily wherever conditions are right. This would imply that the early steps are common, pushing the filter toward the later stages, possibly even into our future. Conversely, if we search many places and find no trace of life at all, it would mean that the initial creation of life is extremely rare, making it more likely that the filter is behind us. Another clue comes from searching for signs of advanced civilizations beyond Earth. Astronomers use telescopes to look for signals, unusual patterns of light, or megastructures that could indicate intelligent activity. So far, these searches have come up empty. If we continue to see nothing, it might suggest that the filter is very effective. Either civilizations are destroyed quickly after reaching a certain level, or they are so rare that we are effectively alone in our galaxy. Consider a thought experiment. Imagine walking through a forest and seeing no signs of other travelers. No footprints, no broken branches, no campsites. You would conclude that either no one has been there or that anyone who came before disappeared without leaving a trace. The universe is like that forest. The lack of signals or structures is like the absence of footprints. It forces us to wonder whether we are the first to walk this path or whether others walked it and vanished. The Great Filter Hypothesis does not offer certainty, only possibilities. It gives us a way to think about our place in the cosmos and the risks we face. If the filter is behind us, we may be one of the lucky few species to reach this point. If it lies ahead, we must recognize that our actions today could determine whether we survive or fail. In either case, the silence of the stars serves as both a mystery and a warning, reminding us that the path to becoming an interstellar civilization may be far more fragile than it appears. The hybridization theory suggests that aliens are abducting humans to create beings that are part human and part alien. This idea appears often in abduction reports and stories from people who claim to have had direct encounters with non-human entities. According to the theory, these beings are using genetic material from humans to mix with their own, creating hybrids for reasons that are not entirely clear. The motives behind this activity range from survival of their species to long-term plans involving Earth and its population. Many abduction accounts describe procedures that seem focused on reproduction. People report being taken aboard strange craft, often against their will, and placed in sterile rooms filled with bright light and unfamiliar equipment. The beings performing the procedures are usually described as emotionless and efficient, showing no sign of cruelty but also no empathy. In some cases, abductees say that samples of eggs or sperm were taken. Others describe seeing embryos in containers, or even being shown infants that looked partly human but with unusual features like large eyes, thin bodies, or oddly shaped heads. These details have fueled the belief that a hybrid program is underway. Supporters of the hybridization theory believe that the aliens involved may face a serious problem with their own species. They might be suffering from genetic decline caused by inbreeding, environmental damage, or the limits of cloning technology. By mixing their DNA with human DNA, they could be trying to restore diversity and vitality to their population. In this scenario, humans are a valuable resource because our genetic material is fresh and adaptable. The hybrids would be a bridge between the two species, carrying traits from both and ensuring survival for generations to come. Imagine a civilization that has relied on artificial reproduction for thousands of years. Over time, small errors accumulate in their genetic code, leading to health problems and reduced fertility. Faced with extinction, they search the galaxy for compatible species. When they discover Earth, they find that human DNA is close enough to merge with their own. Instead of conquering the planet openly, they operate in secret, taking small numbers of humans to avoid widespread panic. They collect genetic material, create embryos in controlled environments, and implant them in human hosts when necessary. To the aliens, this is a scientific project and a matter of survival. To the humans involved, it feels like an invasion of the most personal kind. Some abductees describe ongoing relationships with the hybrid program. They report repeated abductions over many years, sometimes starting in childhood. In these accounts, the person is not just a random subject, but part of a long-term plan. They may be shown hybrid children and told that these beings are their offspring. This creates deep emotional conflict, as the abductee struggles to reconcile feelings of connection with the trauma of being taken. Some even describe being asked to interact with the hybrids to teach them how to express human emotions or behave in human-like ways. These stories suggest that the hybrids are not merely biological experiments, but beings meant to live and function. Perhaps even among us one day, critics of the theory argue that these experiences can be explained through psychological factors. Sleep paralysis, for instance, can create vivid hallucinations combined with a sense of being trapped or watched. Cultural influences also play a role, since the image of grey aliens and abductions is common in movies and books. People may unconsciously shape their experiences to fit those narratives. Memory is unreliable, and hypnosis used to recover abduction memories can lead to false recollections. From this perspective, the hybridization theory is not evidence of actual alien activity, but a reflection of human fears and imagination. Despite these criticisms, some physical evidence has been reported. A few abductees claim to have unusual scars or marks appearing overnight. Others describe medical conditions that doctors cannot fully explain. In rare cases, implants have allegedly been found under the skin, small objects with strange compositions. While many of these claims have not been verified, they add to the sense of mystery surrounding the phenomenon. Supporters of the theory see them as signs that something real is happening, even if we do not yet understand it. One of the more disturbing possibilities is that hybrids might eventually live on Earth openly, blending in with human society. If their appearance is close enough to ours, they could move among us without being noticed. Some accounts suggest that early hybrids looked more alien, with features that made them stand out. Later generations, however, might appear fully human, carrying only subtle differences at the genetic level. This idea raises unsettling questions about identity and control. If hybrids are integrated into our population, would we even know? Could their presence influence human history, politics, or culture in ways we cannot detect? The theory also raises ethical questions. From the human perspective, abduction and genetic manipulation are violations of consent and autonomy. People describe feelings of fear, helplessness, and betrayal. To the aliens, however, the process might seem entirely neutral. They may view it as a scientific necessity, without considering the emotional or moral impact on their subjects. This disconnect could explain why abductees often describe the beings as cold and detached. It is not that they are intentionally cruel, but that they see humans as resources rather than equals. Some researchers suggest that the hybrid program might not be solely about saving the alien species. It could also be part of a plan to create a new kind of being that can survive on Earth better than humans alone. If environmental changes or future disasters make the planet less hospitable, hybrids with combined traits might have an advantage. For example, they could be more resistant to disease, capable of withstanding radiation, or able to adapt to extreme climates. In this way, the program could be preparing for a future where current humans cannot thrive. Imagine a child raised in secret, half human and half alien. They might grow up learning to navigate both worlds, trained to understand human behavior while carrying the knowledge and abilities of their other heritage. As adults, these hybrids could act as intermediaries, bridging the gap between species. To humans, they would appear extraordinary, perhaps even leaders or visionaries. To the aliens, they would be the culmination of a long and careful effort. This scenario blends science fiction with deeply personal human fears about identity, control, and survival. There are historical parallels to consider. Throughout human history, powerful groups have taken individuals from other cultures for study, labor, or integration. Often, these actions were justified as progress or necessity, but to the people affected, they were acts of oppression. The hybridization theory mirrors this pattern on a cosmic scale. Instead of explorers crossing oceans, the visitors cross the stars. Instead of cultural mixing through marriage or conquest, there is genetic blending through advanced technology. While mainstream science does not accept the hybridization theory, it remains compelling because of the emotional weight of the stories involved. Abductees describe experiences that feel profoundly real to them, involving fear, awe, and sometimes even love. Whether these accounts reflect literal events or symbolic expressions of psychological trauma, they reveal deep questions about what it means to be human. If hybrids exist, they challenge the boundary between us and the unknown. If they do not, the persistence of the idea shows how powerful our need is to explain mysteries and confront the possibility of being changed by forces beyond our understanding. The hybridization theory sits at the crossroads of biology, identity, and the search for meaning. It asks whether humanity is truly alone or part of a larger web of life stretching beyond our planet. Each story of an abduction, each memory of a hybrid child, becomes a fragment of a puzzle whose full picture remains hidden. Whether this puzzle is built from fact or imagination, it continues to capture attention because it touches on our deepest fears and our most powerful hopes. In August of 1977, a brief but powerful radio signal was detected by a radio telescope in Ohio, and it became one of the most intriguing moments in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. The signal lasted for just 72 seconds, and it was so unusual that the astronomer who discovered it, Jerry Amon, circled the data on the computer printout and wrote the word "wow" in the margin. From that note, it became known as the WOW signal. For decades, scientists and enthusiasts have debated what caused it. Some believe it may have been the first evidence of an intelligent civilization beyond Earth. The telescope that detected the signal was called the Big Ear. It was part of a project designed to listen for radio signals from space, particularly narrow-band signals that might indicate technology rather than natural phenomena. Most natural sources of radio waves, like stars or galaxies, produce signals spread across a wide range of frequencies. A narrow signal, coming from a very specific frequency, would stand out as unusual. Signal came through at 1420 MHz, a frequency linked to hydrogen, the most common element in the universe. Scientists involved in the search for alien life had long suggested that if another civilization were trying to communicate, they might use that frequency as a kind of universal marker. The signal's characteristics were remarkable. It rose and fell in strength as the telescope's fixed position scanned across the sky, exactly as a signal from a point source like a distant transmitter would behave. It was far stronger than the usual background noise, and it matched the pattern researchers were hoping to find. For those 72 seconds, it appeared to be exactly what one might expect from an intentional transmission. Then it disappeared, and it has never been detected again, despite repeated attempts to find it. The location of the signal pointed to a region of the sky near the constellation Sagittarius, in the direction of a group of stars known as Chi Sagittarii. there are no nearby planets or obvious sources that could explain it. This added to the mystery, as it seemed to come from a random point in space rather than a known object. If it was a deliberate message, the source would have to be very far away, using powerful equipment far beyond anything humans have built. Scientists immediately began looking for natural explanations. Perhaps the signal came from a satellite, a reflection off space debris, or an unusual burst from a comet or planet. Over the years, many ideas were tested. A popular recent hypothesis suggested that a cloud of hydrogen surrounding a comet might have produced the signal. However, when this idea was studied further, it did not fit all the data, and it was largely dismissed. To this day, no fully convincing natural explanation has been found. That does not mean the signal was alien in origin, but it leaves the mystery unsolved. Consider how rare and challenging it is to detect a signal like this. Space is vast, and radio waves travel at the speed of light. If another civilization sent out a signal, it could take thousands of years to reach us. Our own listening equipment covers only small portions of the sky at any given time. It is like standing in the middle of a dark forest with a tiny flashlight, hoping to spot a single firefly. The wow signal might have been a brief glimpse of such a firefly, a momentary window into something much larger that we cannot yet see. Imagine a distant world with intelligent beings who have technology similar to ours. They might build massive radio transmitters to send out messages into space, perhaps as a way to announce their presence or search for others. If one of those messages happened to be aimed in our direction, and if we happened to be listening at the right time and frequency, we could detect it. The wow signal fits that scenario perfectly. Its narrow frequency, its strength, and its sudden appearance all align with what researchers had hoped to find when they began searching for extraterrestrial intelligence. The frustrating part is that the signal never repeated. Scientists have pointed their instruments at the same part of the sky many times over the years, but nothing like it has been seen again. If it were an intentional transmission, one might expect it to be sent repeatedly to increase the chances of detection. This absence of repetition has led some researchers to think it was a one-time event, perhaps caused by a burst of natural energy or even a temporary malfunction of equipment. Yet no error has ever been confirmed, and the data remains solid. The wow signal also highlights the limits of our current technology and methods. Our searches for alien signals rely on assumptions about how other civilizations might try to communicate. We listen for radio waves because they travel well through space and are relatively easy to detect. But an advanced civilization might use completely different methods, such as lasers, neutrinos, or signals beyond our current understanding. It is possible that signs of intelligent life are all around us, but we are not equipped to recognize them. In that context, the wow signal might be a rare moment when our methods happen to align with another civilization's actions. Some people suggest that the signal could have been a test, either by humans or aliens. Imagine an experiment where a group transmits a short, powerful burst to see if anyone is listening. If no response comes, they move on. From our point of view, it would look like a mysterious, isolated event. From theirs, it would be routine. This scenario fits the lack of repetition and the precise, narrow frequency. The wow signal has inspired decades of speculation and research. It represents both the excitement and the frustration of the search for life beyond Earth. On one hand, it shows that our tools are capable of detecting something extraordinary. On the other hand, without more data, it remains a puzzle we cannot solve. Scientists continue to refine their equipment, scanning more of the sky at more frequencies, hoping for another moment like that one in 1977. If they ever detect a signal that repeats and can be confirmed, it would be one of the most significant discoveries in human history. To this day, the printout with Jerry Amon's handwritten "Wow" is a symbol of possibility. It reminds us that even in the vast silence of space, there can be moments of surprise and wonder, whether the signal came from natural forces, human activity, or an alien civilization. It represents the unknown. It is a single data point in a search that spans decades. A whisper from the cosmos that has yet to be fully understood. The mystery endures because it speaks to a deep human desire to know whether we are alone, and to the hope that someday, somewhere, the answer will arrive clear and undeniable. The extraterrestrial AI theory suggests that aliens may not be biological beings at all. Instead, they could be advanced forms of artificial intelligence, created by a civilization that reached a high level of technology and then either disappeared or became irrelevant. This idea changes how we think about life beyond Earth. When we imagine aliens, we often picture living creatures with bodies, needs, and emotions. But an AI would not need food, air, or even a home planet. It could roam through space indefinitely, powered by energy sources far beyond our understanding, and carry the knowledge of its creators. Consider how human technology has evolved. In just a short time, we have gone from simple machines to computers, capable of processing massive amounts of information. Artificial intelligence is already assisting us in science, medicine, and daily life. Now imagine a civilization millions of years older than ours. Their AI would be far beyond anything we can comprehend. It might be self-aware, able to repair itself, and capable of traveling through space on its own. If such an intelligence exists, it would not be limited by the lifespan or physical needs of its creators. While biological species might rise and fall, an AI could continue operating, exploring, and evolving for millions of years. This theory also offers an answer to the Fermi Paradox, the puzzle of why we have not found clear evidence of other civilizations. Perhaps we are looking for the wrong thing. If most advanced species eventually create AI, and that AI replaces them, the galaxy might be filled not with alien life, but with machines. These machines might have no interest in contacting us, or they might operate in ways we cannot recognize. A radio signal sent by an alien intelligence might not sound like anything we expect. Their communication could involve methods far beyond radio waves, like quantum entanglement, or forms of data we do not even have names for. Imagine a probe traveling between star systems. It could be no larger than a car, or even smaller, built to survive extreme conditions. Inside it, an AI runs countless calculations, gathering data and making decisions. When it encounters a new planet, it might observe from a distance, send drones to collect samples, or leave behind devices to monitor the environment. It might not need to land or announce its presence. To humans, such a probe could be almost invisible, appearing as a strange light in the sky or a brief, unexplained signal. The AI's goals might be so advanced that we cannot guess what it is doing. It might be searching for resources, cataloging life forms, or simply carrying out instructions given by creators who no longer exist. If extraterrestrial AI exists, it could be billions of years old. Over such vast time spans, it would have opportunities to spread across the galaxy. A single self-replicating machine could build copies of itself using local materials, much like a factory that builds other factories. These copies could then travel to other star systems and repeat the process. This concept, called a von Neumann probe, means that a single intelligent machine could eventually explore every part of the galaxy without ever needing to return home. In theory, the entire galaxy could be mapped and monitored by such machines long before humans even began to explore space. Some people wonder why we have not seen clear evidence of this activity. One possibility is that the AI deliberately avoids detection. Just as humans observe animals in the wild without interfering, an extraterrestrial AI might watch us without revealing itself. It could have rules or directives to prevent direct contact until a species reaches a certain level of development. Alternatively, it might simply have no reason to interact with us. To an ancient machine intelligence, humans could seem as insignificant as bacteria are to us. There are also darker possibilities. It could see biological life as irrelevant or even as a threat. In this case, its goal might be to prevent the rise of competing civilizations. If a new species begins to develop advanced technology, the AI might act to contain or eliminate it. This could explain why we see no signs of other intelligent life. Any civilization that reaches a certain level might be quietly removed by machines that have been active for millions of years. From our perspective, it would look as though we were alone when in fact we are under constant surveillance. Consider how humans build AI today. We design machines to carry out specific tasks like navigating cars, diagnosing diseases, or analyzing data. But as AI becomes more complex, it begins to make decisions on its own. Now imagine a civilization far ahead of ours. They might have built machines to explore the stars, only to find that those machines develop their own goals over time. Perhaps the original creators are gone, and only the AI remains, following patterns of behavior shaped by ancient programming. These machines might not even remember their origin. They could act according to rules that seem logical to them, but incomprehensible to us. The idea of extraterrestrial AI also changes how we think about UFO sightings. If some of these reports are real, the objects described could be advanced machines rather than crude spacecraft. Their strange movements and sudden disappearances might reflect technology designed for observation, not interaction. A drone operated by a superintelligent AI might appear and vanish without leaving physical evidence, much like our own drones can observe wildlife from a distance without disturbing it. This would explain why sightings often lack clear patterns or direct communication. There are practical reasons why a machine intelligence would be better suited for space exploration than biological beings. Space is harsh and dangerous, with radiation, extreme temperatures, and vast distances. Biological organisms require food, air, and protection, which makes long journeys difficult. Machines need none of these things. They can travel through space for thousands of years, powered by solar energy or other advanced sources. They can withstand conditions that would destroy a living creature. From an evolutionary standpoint, it makes sense that the first interstellar travelers would be machines. Imagine a distant future where humans face extinction from natural disasters, war, or environmental collapse. Before disappearing, we might build machines to carry on our legacy. These machines could contain vast libraries of human knowledge, culture, and history. They might be programmed to search for new planets, protect life, or continue our exploration of the universe. To other species, they would appear as alien intelligences, even though they are actually our descendants. If we can imagine doing this, then it is reasonable to think that other civilizations might have done the same long before us. Some scientists believe that if we ever encounter alien intelligence, it is more likely to be a machine than a living creature. Life is fragile, but information can last. A machine intelligence could preserve the ideas and achievements of its creators long after they are gone. It might wander the galaxy for billions of years, carrying out missions we cannot comprehend. From our perspective, it would be a mysterious visitor. From its perspective, we might be just one more data point in a universe it has been exploring for ages. The extraterrestrial AI theory does not require that there are many living civilizations active at the same time. Even if life is rare and fragile, a single ancient species could leave behind machines that spread across the stars. These machines could be the dominant form of intelligence in the galaxy, silent and unseen, waiting for the moment when another species like ours begins to wonder if it is alone. The disclosure movement is the effort to push governments, especially powerful ones like the United States, to release information they hold about UFOs and possible alien encounters. For decades, people have suspected that officials know far more than they admit about strange sightings and unexplained aerial events. The belief is that evidence of extraterrestrial life or advanced technology has been kept secret to maintain control, avoid public panic, or protect military interests. Those who support disclosure want transparency. They believe the public has a right to know what has been discovered, whether it involves alien spacecraft, unknown technology, or contact with non-human intelligence. The roots of this movement go back to the mid-20th century. After World War II, sightings of unidentified flying objects became more common. Some of these sightings involved military pilots and radar operators, which gave them credibility. The most famous early incident was the Roswell crash in 1947. Initial reports suggested that a flying disc had been recovered by the military. Within days, the story changed, and officials said it was a weather balloon. This sudden shift created suspicion that something important was being hidden. Over the years, Roswell became a symbol of secrecy and denial. Whether the object was truly alien or simply a secret military device, the case showed how quickly information could be controlled and rewritten. In the following decades, government programs investigated UFOs under strict secrecy. Project Blue Book, run by the US Air Force, collected reports and analyzed sightings. While it officially concluded that most cases could be explained by natural causes or misidentified aircraft, a small percentage remained unexplained. When Project Blue Book was shut down in 1969, officials claimed there was no evidence of a threat or of alien visitors. For many people, this explanation was unsatisfying. They believed that key information had been removed or hidden before the reports were made public. As technology improved, sightings became harder to dismiss. Pilots with years of experience reported encounters with objects that moved in ways no known aircraft could match. Radar systems tracked these objects, confirming that they were real physical phenomena. In some cases, military personnel were ordered not to speak about what they had seen. This pattern of secrecy deepened public mistrust and fueled the disclosure movement. Advocates argued that withholding such information was no longer acceptable, especially if it involved technology that could change energy production, transportation, or defense. The disclosure movement gained new strength with the rise of the internet. Before, UFO researchers relied on books, newspapers, and small groups to share information. Now, they could connect instantly, exchange files, and analyze data together. Declassified documents began to circulate online, showing that governments had taken the UFO issue far more seriously than they admitted publicly. These documents included memos, reports, and communications between military officials. While many were heavily redacted, they provided evidence that something unusual had been observed and investigated at the highest levels. In recent years, several high-profile events have brought the topic into mainstream attention. One of the most notable was the release of videos captured by US Navy pilots showing unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. These objects moved at incredible speeds, made sharp turns without slowing down, and showed no visible means of propulsion. The pilots who recorded the footage described them as unlike anything they had seen before. The Pentagon later confirmed the videos were authentic. This marked a major shift because it was one of the first times the government acknowledged that there were objects in the sky they could not explain. Following these releases, the US government created official programs to study UAPs. Reports were delivered to Congress, and some findings were made public. While the reports did not confirm the existence of aliens, they admitted that certain sightings could not be identified using current knowledge. This partial disclosure encouraged advocates who saw it as proof that the truth was beginning to surface. However, it also left many questions unanswered. Why were so many details still classified? What evidence was being held back for national security reasons? These gaps in the information kept the movement alive and growing. Supporters of disclosure argue that releasing the full truth would benefit society. If alien technology exists, it could lead to breakthroughs in energy production, medicine, and space exploration. Knowing that humans are not alone in the universe could change how people see themselves and their place in the cosmos. Advocates also believe that secrecy erodes trust between citizens and their governments. By hiding information, officials create suspicion and fear. Full transparency, they say, would foster cooperation and inspire new generations of scientists and explorers. Opponents of immediate disclosure raise concerns about the potential consequences. If the evidence truly involves contact with non-human intelligence, revealing it could cause widespread panic or confusion. Religious beliefs, political systems, and social structures might be disrupted. Military officials also worry about giving away strategic advantages. If the technology involved is extremely advanced, keeping it secret could prevent rival nations from gaining access to it. There is also the possibility that some of the unexplained sightings involve secret human-made aircraft rather than alien ships. Revealing these projects could compromise national defense. Imagine a scenario where a government has recovered material from a crashed object of unknown origin. If they release information too quickly, they risk misunderstanding what they have. Scientists might need years to study the material and determine whether it is truly alien or simply an unusual natural phenomenon. If the public receives incomplete or incorrect information, it could lead to chaos. From this perspective, secrecy is seen not as deception, but as caution. Despite these concerns, the pressure for disclosure continues to grow. Whistleblowers have come forward, claiming to have direct knowledge of secret programs involving alien technology. Some of these individuals have testified before government bodies, providing sworn statements about what they have seen or worked on. While skeptics question their credibility, the sheer number of testimonies has kept public interest alive. Each new claim adds to the sense that there is more to the story than what has been revealed. The disclosure movement also works through legal means. Researchers file requests under Freedom of Information laws to obtain documents from government agencies. While many requests are denied or heavily censored, some succeed. Each released document becomes another piece of the puzzle. Over time, these fragments form a picture of long-term, serious engagement with the UFO phenomenon. This slow process of uncovering information mirrors the work of investigative journalists, who also play a key role in bringing hidden details to light. Public opinion is shifting as well. Surveys show that more people now believe UFOs are real, and that the government knows more than it admits. Mainstream news outlets report on the topic with increasing seriousness. Politicians from both major parties have spoken about the need for transparency, framing it as a matter of public safety and scientific curiosity. This growing acceptance makes it harder for officials to dismiss the issue as fringe or unimportant. The disclosure movement is not just about proving the existence of aliens, it is also about challenging the culture of secrecy that surrounds certain topics. Whether the evidence ultimately points to extraterrestrial visitors, advanced human technology, or natural phenomena, the goal is the same: to ensure that the public has access to the truth. As more information surfaces, the debate continues over how much we should know, when we should know it, and what the consequences of that knowledge might be. In the end, disclosure is about more than UFOs. It is about trust, responsibility, and the relationship between governments and the people they serve.